Praise the mighty Yah. Welcome back to our Sabbath services here at the House of Yehuda. I am Minister Michael Israel. I am one of the teachers that sit under Minister Yoel and Minister Elder Yemuel. And also, too, want to send out love and prayers to Elder Nesha, who's not feeling the best, and our dear brother Moray Yoel. And Sister Yakira, because I know they're dealing with a lot of heaviness. So, praise the mighty Yah. All right. But we have a treat today. Coming up next is a sister who brings a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, and she does a lot of research. So without any further ado, I would like to bring up Sister Dawn. Praise Yah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Shalom. Yahweh, awesome. And I say that simply because he is. Yo, if I was to just stand here, I could talk for a really long time about all the ways that Yahweh has blessed me. But that's not what I'm here for exactly. In today's edition of Who's That Deity, we're going to talk about 2 in 1. Because in one part of the world, this deity went by a particular name, and in another part of the world, this deity went by a different name. But in a sense, they're one and the same. So let's kill these 2 birds with 1 stone from Yah. Hallelujah. All right, so the Roman version of the deity was Victoria. It's a common name. Lots of people go by this name. And we have inadvertently been calling on a deity the entire time. Yah's righteous. And then the Greek version of this deity, everybody's familiar with it, probably got some on right now. Nike. These 2 deities, worshipped by the Romans and the Greeks, is the goddess of victory. The Roman version, Victoria, was, as I said, the personification of victory, especially worshipped by the army. In later times, she had 3 or 4 sanctuaries in Rome. She came to be regarded as the protecting goddess of the Senate. And her statue was the cause of the final combat between Christianity and paganism toward the end of the 4th century. We dip and dive into so many things. We have no clue as to the things that we are getting involved in. We just see a particular cause or a reason and justify why we should get involved with it. And there are things that we're not supposed to meddle with. Now, the Greek version of this deity, Nike, in ancient Greek religion was the goddess of victory. That victory, that spirit of victory, was an attribute to other deities, sometimes depicted as carrying a palm branch, a wreath, or another deity's staff as a messenger of victory. Sometimes you've seen the statue where they have that head embellishment. That would be that wreath that they were talking about. And this deity came to be recognized as a sort of mediator of success between the deities and men. So, no coincidence then that this particular deity is on athletic apparel, something people want to win and be victorious at. Not that I'm saying you can't wear it. I'm just saying use caution and discretion, things that we decide that we are going to become involved in. Because there's history to these things that we don't know about. They're not commonly discussing this. They just say it. It's a company. We sell this. We go and try to make sure that the things we purchase from said company are 100%. But sometimes we got to do a little bit of research and become more aware, because we are surrounded literally by adversaries of Yahweh day in and day out. And they come at us in multiple directions. We just need to pay more attention and use more wisdom. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. Verses 1 and 2. Now, granted, at this time, they weren't talking about America, the country that we live in now, but I think it still applies. When Yahweh thy Elohim shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites, and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yahweh thy Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. And thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Now, how do you suppose Israel was able to do this? It was not because they called on this deity, Victoria, or the Greek deity, Nike. It's because they called on Yahweh. Yahweh was with them so that they could be victorious over these other nations. And the moment that Israel decided that they were going to be like the other nations and start calling on other deities and breaking the laws that Yahweh set forth for us to follow, the moment they set that aside, Yahweh set all their victories to the side. And we were conquered by other nations and brought to the place where we are now. Also, let's go further into Deuteronomy chapter 7 and start at verse 17. Let's go back to 16. How about that? And thou shalt consume all the people which Yahweh thy Elohim shall deliver thee. Thine eye shall have no pity upon them. Neither shalt thou serve their deities, for that will be a snare unto thee. Yahweh keep telling us, don't serve their deities, no matter how great they may make them seem. If thou shalt say in thine heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? Uh-oh. How can we be victorious over these deities and these nations? How about this? Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what Yahweh did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt, the great temptations which your eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm, whereby Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee out. So shall Yahweh thy Elohim do unto people of whom thou art afraid. That has not expired. Every time you keep one of Yahweh's laws, you are showing Yahweh that you remember the covenant that he made with our ancestors. That you remember, he said, that you should not be afraid of them because he is with you. Verse 21, thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for Yahweh your Elohim is among you, a mighty Elohim and terrible. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. Again, Yahweh is reminding us that when we put our trust in him, he will take care of things. He doesn't work on our time schedules. He's not seeing things the way that we see things. He is the all-living creator. Yahweh knows the ins and outs, and we think we're special because we could play chess. Who do you think created the man that created chess? Yahweh is the master, the true creator of all things, and our trust is continually to be in him. Don't worry about these deities and what they embody. Don't say the name. Stop giving them power. Our trust is supposed to be completely in Yahweh. In Deuteronomy 6 and verse 15.
Where did you stop at?
The last verse I read was 21 through 22.
Deuteronomy 6 is the next scripture.
Yes, Deuteronomy 6, verse 15. For Yahweh thy Elohim is a jealous Elohim among you, lest the anger of Yahweh thy Elohim be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahweh your Elohim, as you tempted him in Massah. If we're calling on the names of these deities purposely or accidentally because we just don't know, that is a temptation of Yahweh. He clearly said, don't tempt him. Personally, an Elohim that has created all the elements, fire, water, he controls the weather, despite man's attempt to overdo that. I personally am not trying to tempt him. Someone told me a story once, true story. Because there was this woman standing outside of this grocery store and there was a thunderstorm. And in this thunderstorm, the lightning struck very close to this particular woman. And that woman, at that moment, was so scared by that lightning striking near her. She said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It scared her so much that it humbled her in a way to the Most High that she needed to apologize. She didn't specify what she was apologizing for, but she just said in general, I'm sorry. That's true power right there. And that woman was not of Israel. Somebody of another nation got enough sense to humble themselves to the Most High, and we tempt him daily with no regard, with no sorrow or sorrowfulness until something bad happens. And then we want to be all like, oh, I don't know why that happened. Why is this happening? I'm such a good person. And you may very well be. I'm not criticizing anybody or calling anybody wicked. But what I am saying is we need to pay attention. We need to be on our P's and Q's 24/7 because there are the names of so many deities around us and we don't research them. We just say them out of habit or convenience, or that's all we know. The reason is we are doing these things. We need to be more mindful and consider. In Deuteronomy 6, verse 17, you shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim and his testimonies and his statutes which he hath commanded thee. And then guess what? Verse 18 tells you, and thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which Yahweh sware unto thy fathers, to cast out all thine enemies from before thee, as Yahweh hath spoken. Guess what? We got enemies that we can't see. They're not always people. They're spirits. They're spirits around us. Spirits of deities that people keep calling into existence. We need help for that stuff. We just get involved in so many things. And again, we don't have a clue as to the repercussions of us getting into these things. We just see immediate promise. Goodness that we're going to receive right now. It's beneficial right at this moment, but we don't think of the long-term effects of that. We introduce things into our lives, then we wonder why we can't get rid of them, why this is happening. This is why we keep breaking the commandments. And I don't mean to make it seem simple, but it's kind of simple. We need to think before we speak, consider before we act. Call on Yahweh. Is this something that I should be doing? Yahweh, is this something that I should be saying? And really, if we pay attention, Yahweh is talking to us all the time. It's just a question of whether or not we want to listen. Are we so caught up in ourselves that we are not paying Yahweh any attention until something bad happens? Do we really trust in Yahweh with all our hearts, or is it just we call on him when we need something or when we want something? Yahweh has always been with his people. You want true victory? You don't need to call on these deities. You don't need to put on them sneakers. True victory comes from trusting in Yahweh. Because Yahweh said that he would never forsake us. And you can't say that about man. Mm-hmm. Yahweh is the creator of all things. People, natural things. That might be the name of a deity too, hence me saying it that way. I have to be more careful. Yahweh created all things. Trees outside, the wind that blows, the water in the air, on the earth and underneath the earth. Yahweh created all those things. And it's truly Yahweh who knows what's best for us. But if we don't pay any attention to it, that jealous Elohim that we serve is going to get our attention one way or another. So, what type of attention would you like to have? You want good attention? It's going to bring you blessings and peace, feeling of love, the feeling of being taken care of. Or want that negative attention, them lightning strikes that strike you nearby and make you humble yourself and apologize for things that you haven't considered apologizing for ever till that moment. Sickness. Yahweh getting your attention, touching that flesh. Want that attention from Yahweh in a negative light where he just bring constant and continual curses and itchings and scabs that won't heal. Things that we have evidence of happening in the scriptures. Is that the type of attention that we want from Yahweh? Turn to Psalms. Psalms 18 and 30. As for Elohim, his way is perfect. The word of Yahweh is tried. It's a buckler to all those that trust in him. For who is Elohim, save Yahweh? And who is a rock, save our Elohim? It is Elohim that girds me with strength and makes my way perfect. Notice they didn't mention this deity, Nike, or this deity, Victoria. Verse 33, he maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon my high places. It's not these deities that give you strength and that help you be fleet of foot, if you will. Only Yah. He teacheth my hands to war so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms. Only Yahweh can do that. It's not these other deities. Verse 36, thou hast enlarged my steps under me, that my feet did not slip. It's not the shoes. It's not the shoes. And I don't say that ironically. I'm being serious. We put our confidence in so many things. It's Yah that makes us strong. I have pursued mine enemies and overtaken them. Neither did I turn again till they were consumed. We may not be in an actual war where we have to use weapons to defend ourselves, but we are definitely at war. It's wickedness versus righteousness. And on the side of righteousness is Yahweh. And on the side of wickedness is a multitude of deities that cannot save. We bow down ourselves to them. We pray to them. We ask them to be with us. They can't heal you of spirit, body, or mind. But Yahweh can do all of those things. Psalms 19 and verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of Elohim, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. That's Yahweh in the sky making. Who created those stars that sometimes you can't see due to the smog created by man? But they are there. The planets that we can't see that just look like stars, brightly lit stars. The moon and the sun. Those are all things that Yahweh created, not these deities. These deities were created by man. People who did not know Yahweh but wanted to attribute creation to something or somebody. They've created these deities and they endure today because we give them the power to do so. So, if you got a pair of shoes with the deity's name on it, guess what? You can refer to them as swooshes. Yahweh gave us brains that we can use to create things. We don't have to keep calling on these deities. Call them swooshes. You can find some that might not even have the name on them if you feel like you really got to wear them. Yahweh has always created a way out for us, but we refuse to trust in him for that deliverance. We get distracted by life. We get distracted by our feelings. Heck, we're distracted by television, our phones, everything we can do with that little piece of technology in our hand. Use that piece of technology to grow closer to Yahweh. Research these names, look them up, see what they mean, so that we can stop committing so many atrocities against our Elohim, so that he will be with us because we truly need him. So, if you truly want to serve an Elohim of victory, an Elohim that has been with his armies countlessly over the course of history, if you want to serve a true and living Elohim, forsake these nations' deities and trust in God. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Appreciate that lesson, Sister Don. That was another phenomenal lesson. But now, I'm honored to bring up our next speaker. And I'm speaking of none other than Elder Yumuel Israel. Let us rise. The elder makes his way to the podium.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I'll go ahead and be seated. There's some things that I want to do today, and I don't even know where to start. But first, after this, I know where to start. I want to start by saying, praise the Almighty Yah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Now, that being said, I need some help because I got some things that I want to bring forth. One is talking about obedience. But with that, I want us to consider this. Y'all have seen people wear tattoos and heard these expressions, death before dishonor, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes people take those words not serious. Just something to say, death before dishonor. What we talking about, yeah. So I got a lesson that I'm thinking on that I want to do about obedience. But keep it in mind, we're talking about death before dishonor. Then I got another lesson that I want to teach, and all of them are intertwined. Things that's pertaining to life and or death. Then I got another one after that I'm thinking about, which is marriage. And I've been talking about getting back to marriage. And I think that's an important topic because a lot of people, I think, are afraid of marriage. Marriage is work. Marriage is a commitment. And we're people that don't like to commit. And sometimes when the going get tough, the so-called tough want to get going. So I need some input from y'all. And if anybody lives by way of the internet, and I want to try to get a consensus of what y'all want me to start with. So y'all can tell me in here, and then hopefully within the next minute, somebody will type something in by way of the internet, and that's where I start. Things that's pertaining to life and or death. Talking about obedience. Because all of it really come down to just whether you're obedient or not, even in marriage. So y'all let me know, but by the time I finish this Psalms, then I'll go back. We're going to start with the Psalms like I generally do. Matter of fact, today, I have two different Psalms that I want to go over. All right? Just two different ones. Because it all boils down to the individual. We all know that. Either a person's going to be compliant or non-compliant. They're going to be willing or not willing. Ain't no in between. Ain't no in between at all. You know, we are people that love excuses. Well, I understand it, but that strong three-letter word again, but and if. And we always have those in the way. We allow but and if to get in our way. Really, like I said, we're going to be compliant, and we're not going to be compliant. We have to figure that out as individuals. Now, if you will, we're going to start at Psalm 51. Psalms 51. Like I say, after we go over these Psalms, we'll take it from there. Starts to read in the very first verse of Psalm 51. Have mercy upon me, O Yah, according to thy loving kindness, according to the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. This is asking Yah, according to you, Yah, because it's going to be Yah's will anyway, right? According to you. Have mercy on me if you want to have mercy on me. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe he might think that I've had enough of you. And I'm referring to me. Make it pertain to you. He might say, you know what? Enough is enough. Because we get to that point, don't we? Well, sometimes we say enough is enough. You know, that old saying, I give you an inch and you take a yard. But also, I give you some rope, and instead of pulling yourself in, you go ahead and hang yourself with that very rope. Have mercy upon me, O Yah, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of your tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. First, we got to acknowledge that we sin. Because some of us, we perfect. So we think. Some of us, we don't do nothing. We just declare ourselves to be good. But what is good? Is our good the same good as it is in the sight of the Almighty Yah? Because if it's not good, then most likely it's going to be what? Evil. So sometimes we try to convince our little evil selves that we're good. But only really in our own eyes, if we really believe that. Again, wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Do we sincerely acknowledge our transgressions? Do we? Huh? Because the only way we're going to acknowledge them, we got to consider it. And a lot of times we consider things before we make our move, then we wouldn't do some of the foolish things that we do. A wise man once told me, never allow actions to precede thought. That was Murray Alicia. In other words, don't do something being rash and not even consider what the results might be. But we're people, we just love to move. We love to act. Sometimes we don't consider, in most cases, we probably don't consider what the effects might be. Long as we get our will, long as we get what we want. Again, for I acknowledge my transgressions and my sin is ever before me. Now here's what's important here. Against thee, and thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight. It's evil, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. The Almighty is going to be absolutely clear when he speaks. He's going to be absolutely clear when he judges. He's the one who made the rules. He set the standard. He's the one who shared it with us that we might be righteous. We know, well, some of us don't believe that we can be perfect according to man. But the Almighty said, walk with me and be thou perfect. You can be perfect. All we got to do is quit that sinning. If I commit it, I acknowledge it, I confess it, I turn from it. Don't do that no more. Don't go back that way. So what happens next time I commit another sin? Oh man, I sinned again, but it wasn't the same sin. Wait a minute, let me acknowledge this in my sincerity. Let me confess it in my sincerity, turn from it, and I ain't doing that no more. See, because sometimes we might have those secret faults. It might even be a presumptuous sin. Once we really get the gravity of it, once we really start understanding, then we turn from it. So see, man will say, I remember when you did this, I remember when you did that. But the Almighty say, look, I now already cleansed you from that. Don't you worry about what they say. You just keep walking with me. But we didn't want man's respect. We want man to hold us up. Let me tell you, any day, I done got enough wisdom to understand that any day, I would rather, on any day, I'd rather be held up by the Almighty than man. Man can't bless me with the gift of life. Man can't bless me with the gift of longevity. Man gonna pass just like I'm gonna pass and go to wherever our fathers, period. But the Almighty will be here forever. And we need to understand that. Again in verse 4, against thee, and thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight. That's right, he see everything. That thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, you desirous truth. Yah desires to hear truth. He want to see truth in our inward parts and in the hidden part. Thou shalt make me to know wisdom. See, somebody asked about wisdom earlier, and you stated there's good wisdom and there's bad wisdom. But check this out. Even that bad wisdom is good wisdom, so we'll know that that's bad. If somebody have a different ideology or this or that and the other, it's not a bad thing to read their books, understanding of their books. That way you and I, we can understand where they're coming from. See, we got to know our way around in the darkness to go into the darkness to bring somebody back out into the light, right? But sometimes we don't consider that. We just condemn things right off the top. But first, we got to understand where them people coming from. Then we can help, if they'll accept that help. Verse 7, purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be made whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Now, who can do that but Yah? Huh? We go through some afflictions, and we can be sad, and we can be depressed. But you know who's going to actually end up bringing us up out of that and renew us? Yah. Yeah. You say, as long as they ain't gave up on me, I ain't giving up on them. But sometimes we got to recognize that in my case, let me say in my case, the things I've been through, I look at them as I brought that on myself one way or another. So if I acknowledge that, okay, either way, I brought this on myself and I acknowledge it, and then I start to lean more on Yah. See what the word say, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get your wisdom. But with all you're getting, get understanding. And there's no wisdom or count anything against the Almighty. But there's a lot against me. A lot against me. I recognize that I'm not perfect. Even though I understand, people say, well, can't nobody be perfect. I'm not listening to man. I'd rather adhere to what thus says Yah. But then again, I understand I'm not you and you're not me. In verse 8, it reads, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken, who broke them? Who broke them? That thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins and blot out all mine iniquities. Not just some of them. I know I did something when I thought nobody was looking. You know, it was just yesterday. But if I'm sincere, you're going to blot out a whole lot of things if I acknowledge them, if I confess them, if I don't go back that way no more, because I know you said your word stand forever. I know you said your word won't go out and come back void. I understand all those things. So if I understand all those things, what's wrong? What the hell is wrong with me? Did I refuse to hearken and get it together? Created me a clean heart. That's that mind. Get that mind refreshed. You know what? They got some on the computer where you can do something and get it refreshed, right? The Almighty make us like a computer, but we can still be refreshed. But we gotta want to be refreshed. We can't say I'm a new person because I went to sleep last night. I'm different. I'm not the same as I was yesterday. Well, actions, we heard that before. Actions speak louder than words. That heart, if that, and then when I say heart, y'all, I'm always talking about the mind. All right. If that heart didn't change, now we're talking about something. But hopefully it didn't change for the better. Right? Created me a clean heart, oh Yah, and renew. See, asked it, and renew a right spirit within me. Give me the right spirit. I know people say I'm just raised in hell all the time. I acknowledge that my demeanor could be better. But in sincerity, we need to really go to the Almighty Yah in prayer and ask, Yah, please give me that right spirit. But be sincere. Because see, what if we're not sincere and we're just faking the funk and we ask that he give us what we ask for? He give us a right spirit. But then we go to feeling like, I need that praise I was getting from man, because walking with this right spirit, man, they don't want to fool with me no more. I'm used to man lifting me up. I'm losing a lot of friends. They say, you didn't change. You're not the same. Man, you boring. I mean, you act like you're in a cult or something. What's wrong with you? Man, I remember when we used to do this. I remember when we used to do that. Then all of a sudden, one day you say you wake up and now you different. And you ain't different, you just like us. Where you gonna stand? You gonna stand with Yah? Or you gonna fall up under the pressure? They say peer pressure is something else, especially with this younger generation. And again, there's so many ways to be a fool. We ain't gonna miss them all. Sometimes we might turn ourselves back into that old fool that we didn't want to be, because we want man to hold us up. Let me tell you something. In this walk, you're gonna lose a lot of friends. But everybody ain't got to be around a whole lot of people anyway. Some of us keep our circle small. And then some of us, we good with just being by ourselves. Now, nobody necessarily wants to be lonely, but keep it in mind. You never be lonely. See, I've made statements myself that I'm lonely. But then when I got to go thinking about it, when I felt like I was lonely, I had to realize, how can I be lonely if Yah is still with me? How can I possibly be lonely? Sometimes we have to be by ourselves sometimes, so that we can meditate, so we can consider, so that we can think, so we can get ourselves about that rut that we put ourselves in. But before we can get out that rut, we have to acknowledge it, that I did this. And everybody play their own role. Everybody. Ain't no daggone victims. Sometimes, in most cases, we don't realize we victimize ourselves, because the Almighty Yah, he's our judge. And we get, guess what we deserve. And a lot of times we deserve much worse than we actually get from Yah. Because Yah hates putting away. Because if that wasn't the case, a lot of us wouldn't be here this day. We'd have been so treacherous. Again, in verse 10, created me a clean heart, O Yah, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. The psalmist David here, he knew without the Almighty Spirit, oh God. Let us consider, who or where would we be if we didn't have the Almighty Yah Spirit? All of us probably know, especially those of us of age, know somebody that's just horrible. You don't even want them people around you. Their behavior and their speech is not good. Let's just put it like that. Especially when we're trying to walk in righteousness and walk with our Creator, those who are wise enough to do so. I'm not saying we won't stumble. We might stumble a bunch of times. But get up, brush yourself off, and know who's been holding you up. Mm-hmm. We go to sleep at night, and if we're wise, we'll say, Yah willing, I'll see tomorrow. Whether you're talking to yourself, to your loved ones, or whoever. It can be anybody. Right? We don't know our time, but if we want to add days instead of diminish them, then we should put forth some act right, willfully, gladly, wanting to. You hear what I'm saying? Ain't no such thing, y'all, as good luck and bad luck.
Very true.
Same one that blesses is the same one that curses. So instead of having good and bad luck, we got blessings and we have curses, and they come from the same. We have to ask ourselves, what do I really think about this now? What do I really deserve? Let's be honest with ourselves. Keep it like I say all the time. If an individual won't be honest with their self, they ain't gonna be honest with nobody else. Not even the true and living creator of heaven and earth.
It's true.
If I had to be honest with myself, I'm so grateful for the Almighty Yah's mercy, because my sins, man, are worthy of death.
Hallelujah.
So I'm blessed to be still in the land of the living.
Hallelujah.
I'm blessed.
I mean,
And every day we owe it to ourselves and to the Almighty Yah to show that we appreciate the mercy that He's given us. Because even in that mercy, we get the opportunity to consider our ways. And then if we find our ways that may not be pleasing to the Almighty, guess what? We get the opportunity to change those ways.
Yep.
But let's not be faking the funk about it.
That's right.
Let's not walk away from sincerity. See, because one of the fundamental building blocks of an individual should be integrity. That's who that individual is. Should be integrity. Either we're going to walk in our integrity or we're not. Ain't no in between. Well, I'm going to have integrity today, but tomorrow, that's a different day. I don't know what that day going to bring. Act the fool. Who knows? No, we don't have to act the fool.
Right.
The Almighty Yah said, humble yourselves.
That's right.
And if we humble, guess what? He said, I got you. We can't even walk with Yah unless we're humble.
That's right. That's right.
It's impossible. See, I love Yah got me. I'm an Israelite. I wear my fringe, this, that, and the other, but horrible. Our demeanor can be horrible, and we're not submissive to the Creator. See, that's another thing I'm going to talk about when we do ever get to the topic of marriage. We want our wives to be submissive, but the Almighty said He's married to us. He's the husband and we the wife. Are we submissive to Him? That sounds real hypocritical. I want somebody to be submissive to me, but I'm not going to be submissive to mine. That's hypocritical. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. See, if I'm a sinner, but you teach me, and I'm sincere, and I change, now I can show somebody else. But if I'm just like them, how can I show them? How can I show them? If I'm acting the same way, how can I tell you you out of order if I'm out of order? First, let me learn order and then participate in it. Let me learn. Let me learn so that I might keep your ways. Then I'll teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. See, that's how we teach, by example. Because when we go to running our mouth to somebody, trying to show them Yah's ways, they're going to look at us. They're going to see either we act like everybody else, or he is a particular, or she is a particular type of person. They are sort of strange, sort of peculiar. See, they'll go consider those things. Yeah, I don't never really see them out there acting a fool. I don't never see her out there acting a fool. They always trying to just be peaceful, you know. Always kind, always got something pleasant to say. I always see that individual with a smile. But what the hell what the hell she got to smile about all the time? That we know Yah. We know Yah. We know something that a lot of people don't know, but we want to share it. But a lot of them don't want it. Sound like y'all got too many restrictions. No. We just got a whole lot of strength. It don't take a lot of strength to be a fool. It takes strength to just walk with Yah and ignore everybody that want to fault you for not being like them. That takes real strength because everybody wants their peers to appreciate them. No, nobody really necessarily wants to be shunned by their peers. But if I had to offend you or the Creator, my choice is, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend you, but you be my pick. You be my pick. I'm not willfully wanting to offend my Creator. Again, in 13, then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted. Deliver me from blood guiltless, O Yah, thou Elohim of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Yah, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. When we give those testimonies, I don't know if some people who can hear me or not may not understand just how powerful those testimonies are. Because when the Almighty does something for you or for me, and we let the world know, this is what my Creator did for me. This is what my Creator did for me. People might not understand it because they might not have that belief that we have. They might not have that faith that you or I have. You understand? They might be lost in darkness. They might be torn. They might be depressed. They might be sad. It can be a number of different things. But when we glorify our Almighty, He smiles on us. See, I'm in the business of trying to get blessings. And we can only get them by the right way. We can't go rob somebody to get their blessings, like people breaking into people's house to rob them, and they think they being blessed with somebody else's substance. You can't be blessed with somebody else's substance. It don't work that way. If anything, you just brought a curse on yourself. You just brought a curse on yourself. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Yeah, you delighted not in burnt offerings. The sacrifices of Elohim are what? A broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. Oh yeah, thou wilt not despise. Do you feel bad about your actions? When you were not right, when I was not right, when we were evil, and we might still be that way. Do we feel bad? Like I said before, we shed tears over our mates. Whether it's girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, each one probably shed tears. But do we shed tears when we know we've done wrong by the true and living Creator of heaven and earth, who allow us to even be here to offend somebody else? Do we shed tears? Do we go before the Almighty Yah and say, look, I did this. Yah forgive me. Or even when we catch ourselves doing something because we're trying to already be on that right walk. Catch yourself, forgive me, Yah. Or do we just act like that we haven't been an offender ourselves? That always pointing the finger at somebody else. Well, why do you think this happened to you? Because so-and-so did this and did not. No. Forget about somebody else, because we can't live or die for somebody else. We have to just acknowledge self. What did I do, or what is it that I didn't do, that I've refused to do, that put me in this predicament in the first place? Well, I fell ill because of my health. But wait a minute. Weren't you told to leave that catfish and that lobster and that shrimp and all that pig and all that other bull, all that sugar? Weren't you told to leave that alone? Huh? Didn't they discuss these things with you? But you said, but I like it. But it didn't like you back. We're people, we love sweets. We love sugar. My wife just made some beautiful cupcakes for my son's birthday. Oh, man, I gobbled the bad boys up. For real? I gobbled them up. Just made some, I don't know what these crackly, crunchy muffin things was we just had last night, but they were delicious. I ate about 4 of them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I knew, and I'm the type of person I try to stay away from a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
So we all have to watch ourselves. See, I acknowledge I might have had too much now. Let me back up. I got to leave stuff alone for me. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Because things in moderation might be okay. Versus consuming certain things on a regular basis.
That's right. That's right.
See, we need to understand these things and then stick to it. Let me read verse 17 again. The sacrifices of Elohim are broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. I'm going to come right to you. And a contrite heart, oh, Yah, thou wilt not despise. Oh, let's consider that. How many of us actually feel broken because of our ways and acknowledge, I did this. How can I fix this? How can I fix this? And then once we recognize how to fix it, then execute it and fix it. See, sometimes it's our pride. Even when the Almighty knows He saves, it's our pride that pulls us down, even though we don't want to. It's our pride. Go ahead, you had something? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's our pride. It goes on and do good. Some of us don't know how to do good. We're so used to doing evil. Oh my goodness. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offerings, and with whole burnt offerings. Then shall thou bullocks upon thine altar. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
How many of us? Not necessarily. You don't have to answer. This is just, I'm asking this for us to consider. How many of us ask the Almighty to wash us clean of our sins and iniquities? How many of us didn't ask the Almighty just to sprinkle a little bit of those tender mercies on us? How many of us ask the Almighty just show me where my errors are? Because if we don't self-evaluate, we're not going to know them, because we're going to be so daggone used to doing evil anyway. And then claiming that it's good. It might be good to us, but is it lawful? Is it right? My problem might just be I just lie all the daggone time. But I think it's all right because I'm making people feel good about me. They think I'm this, they think I'm that. So they look up to me now. But is that what the Almighty wants?
No, sir. No, sir.
I might be a thief, but I'm just taking what I steal and I'm going out feeding the homeless or whatever. But is that the way I'm supposed to feed them? See, we got to understand the ways of the Almighty are not necessarily our ways. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now, I know that probably came off a little bit strong and maybe a little bit aggressive. That is definitely not my intentions. I just ask the Almighty Yah to give me the words. And when I get up here, sometimes I just go to really feeling it and I got to get it out. I'm one of them people that if I pause, I might forget something. But I don't know what's coming out until it come out. And hopefully it's coming out that it can be perceived by the people and they understand that the Almighty, He don't want us to keep straddling the fence. He don't, and notice I'm not saying He don't want y'all, He don't want us to keep straddling the fence. Yes, sir?
Praise God. I have a question.
Yes, sir?
You said something like, stealing and being given to the poor, like that's not what we do. That's not what the righteous do. My question is, what if you are a Hebrew? And a lot of the Hebrews were born in, low income areas. Now, let's say you're a Hebrew and you sell cocaine. And cocaine you take to a predominantly white neighborhood and sell, and then you bring the money back to your neighborhood to feed Yahweh's people. Will that man be blessed for his actions? Because instead of him poisoning his people or Yah's people, he's taking it over to the Gentiles and selling it to them. I asked that question a while ago. Me and my brother had a great conversation about it. I just wanted to get your take on it.
I'm going to give you my take, and I ain't even got to hesitate to think on it. First of all, let me put it to you. We should be seeking the peace of the city. And in that peace, we're going to find peace. So if I'm breaking this man's law, because see, I'm not breaking the all, that's not the, a specific law of the Almighty, but I know it's an evil thing to do, to poison somebody else. Now, what somebody else do, that's on them, because I'm not going to be able to persuade anybody to give up this or give up that, because that may be their livelihood. Right. But I know that I wouldn't want to put myself, I wouldn't want any of my loved ones to be in a situation where they are doing something that's going to put them behind bars, should they be caught. Then taken away from their loved ones because they wanted to do something that was against this man's law that the Almighty probably wouldn't smile at anyway and say, well, this is my way of contributing to give back. Well, maybe I can find a different way to contribute and give back. But see, we have to keep in mind, if we were sent here to be a peculiar people, and not only be a peculiar people, but to get our act together, we have to ask ourselves, is this, say somebody might OD, not that they necessarily will, right, or they might have after effect or whatever, and I say after effect because ain't no such thing as a side effect. You see what I'm saying? And we had our hand in it. And say it came all the way back to me. He was the one that they got it from. I know it because I've seen it a couple of times. Even though I'm in the back room, whatever. Now I put myself in a situation that I really don't want to be in if I'm calling myself righteous in the first place. You see? So I'm not one to go out and do the marching and the protesting and all those things, you know, because then I say in the black community, when a man gets killed by somebody who look just like you don't see him out there marching, this, that, and the other. But you get a little 5 foot, a tall police officer come in and do something, then the people want to protest. Well, what's the difference? Ain't no real difference. Violence is violence, regardless of who it's coming from. But now you want to rush out there. Well, I'm tired of them doing this to our people. But what have you been doing? What have I been doing to the people that is not good? That's not for their benefit. You know, I've heard of people that their own parent was on cocaine or whatever, and they sell it to their own parent. Say, well, if I don't, somebody else gonna do it. I might as well get that money. See, that's our problem. Money ain't always the answer. Money is not, although we love money, it ain't always the answer. And the way we get it don't necessarily mean we're getting it in the right way. You see? So to answer that question,
that was beautiful. I
would have to say, I'm not seeking the peace of the city. I'm going against wisdom. And that question was asked earlier of you today. You know, if we ignore wisdom. Yes, sir.
One more quick question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Take a Christian church who feeds Israel, but of course they believe in Christ. They feed Israel, but on SUN Day they singing and praising a deity. Will that Christian church be blessed? Is it possible for that church to get blessed by Yah?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they looking out for Yah's people.
Praise Yah.
Even more so than Yah's people look out for Yah's people. Absolutely.
Praise Yah.
Now, as long as the person don't go over there and say, look, I want to join your church. I want to be a member of your church because you helped me out so much. Accept that, because see, here's the thing. Yah will have people to bless us. You know, it's a fact. Say, I've been blessed by more people that don't look like me.
Right.
Than those that look like me. When I'm out with my children, I get complimented about my children's behavior by more people that don't look like me. Than people that look like me.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
100%.
So I just have to keep it right, because you know, I'm not trying to say I'm all of this, all of that. That's not what I'm about. But I am saying I know how to conduct myself, and I want to conduct myself in the best possible light that's going to represent my Father, instead of shame my Father. You see? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes.
From Y'all's One Entertainment.
Shabbat shalom, brother.
Question. Could us spelling out the names of the deities be a transgression of that mitzvah?
I would say no, because we're not calling on those names, nor is the name being heard out of our mouth. I don't want to add to Yah's word, and I definitely don't want to take away from You know, that's just like I thought that was a great idea when you were talking about the NIKEs. See, everybody know what I just said, but I didn't say that name. And then when you call them swooshes, I don't know if a deity named swoosh unless you know one, and if you do, please correct me. And I love being corrected. Okay, I love being corrected when I'm out of order because then it gives me something to consider. You see, so no, I would prefer to spell. Now, my wife has shared some things with me that I'm still looking into. But as far as the names of the week, it's a derivative, you know, of part of the name of a deity, but not the name of the deity. So I'm considering that because that's a thing I'm stumbling with. Now, I'm not trying to find ways around the law. I just want to make sure that I'm not breaking the law. You see, if I say the names of the week. You understand? So, and again, I'm sorry if my what appears to be aggression about these topics or anything, it seems like I'm just being that is not my intention to be aggressive. You know, I'm just I guess I won't say in the spirit right now with things because this is enlightening to me because at the same time, you guys are learning, I'm learning some things as well. Because when I ask the Almighty to feed me what I need, I trust and believe that He's giving me what I need so that He might be glorified, not me. Because He's the only one to be praised, not me, not me. I don't look for any glory whatsoever. If it wasn't for the fact of me being up here, I'd be glad just to be sitting outside the door like I usually am. You see, trying to soak up information. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now, where did I leave off here? I still got verses 18 and 19 to read. Verse 18, it goes, do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offerings, and with whole burnt offerings. Then shalt they offer bullocks upon thine altar. Hallelujah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was Psalm 51. Now, let's go to Psalm 58. Psalm 58. I know the way I'm presenting today is a little bit unusual, but when there's just so much in you and you feel like it got to come out because it's going to help somebody, even your own self, you got to let it out. That's just like if you got to go and you got to sit on that throne because you got to let some things out. You got to let them out. Because if you don't let it out, you hold it, and hold it ain't gonna hurt nobody but you.
Believe me, I know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Psalm 58 starts to read the very first verse. Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do you speak righteousness? Do ye judge uprightly? In other words, is there a balance? Is it right? We judge? O ye sons of men, yea, in heart ye work wickedness. Yea, are ye way the violence of your hands in the earth? The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Break their teeth, O Yah, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Yah. Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces, as a snail which melteth, like every one of them to pass away, like the untimely birth of a woman, that they may not see the sun. Before your pots can feel the thorns, he shall take them away, both living and in his wrath. The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. He's going to wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. Now, Ask yourself. I'm asking myself now. Is my blood the blood of the wicked when it's shed? Will it be shed because I'm wicked? Let me be honest with y'all. In most cases, most of us, I ain't gonna say, because I ain't picking on nobody. And I ain't leaving myself out of the equation. Most of us don't know righteousness. We've been brought up in wickedness. And habits are hard to break. They're hard to break. We got to be sorrowful. Asking the Almighty to pull me from this and renewing me a right spirit. Because some of my ways might be all right, but is some good enough? Is some good enough? The Almighty said, walk with me and be perfect. And it's a very doable thing. The only thing stopping us is us. Because we've been accustomed to acting and being a certain way. Some of us might say, I can't be me if I change my ways. No, if we change our ways for the better, we'd just be a better version of who we are today. See, we think the wicked version is a good version. But the wicked version is an abomination to our Maker. Abomination. And we know an abomination is something detestable. So do we want to stand before the Almighty and say, I'm good. I'm all right. You worry about you. I'll worry about me. Knowing that I'm an abomination? The Almighty might view me as being detestable in His sight. Then when I pray, I wonder why my prayers aren't answered. Because I want to stay the same. I don't want to change. See, we talked about wisdom earlier. When there's no changes, there's no what? There's no fear. I don't have to, man. See, y'all scared of y'all, but y'all can't even see. What you scared of? That sound like a fool. That sound like a fool. You see the trees blow, but you don't see the wind. You can feel it, but you don't see it. In a whirlwind, you might not even see it in the beginning, but you might see that truck flying. You might see them shingles and the whole damn roof flying. See, y'all, we just a people that lack understanding. But then when someone tries to give us understanding, that good sound wisdom, we want to keep saying, but what about it? But just listen to what's being said and evaluate it for yourself. And then if you or if I decide it ain't for me, it just ain't for me. If you decide it ain't for you, then it ain't for you. But just know and believe that we're going to be stuck with our own decisions. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, were you finished reading the Psalms? You left off at verse 10.
All right. Let me get to it. Let me get to it. The 58 and 10. It reads, the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. So that a man shall say, verily, there is a reward for the righteous. Verily, he is an Elohim that judges in the earth. Hallelujah. Ooh. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I'm going to ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In verse 3.
Let me go back to verse 3. Where it reads, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born. Speaking lies. In other words, they don't want to be close to nobody. You might try to do it this, that, and the other to try to bring them in. It's already in there. You see, you get some people just don't be wicked. You ain't going to get them to be right at all. They don't want to be close. Yes, go ahead.
Hallelujah. Perhaps what I'm about to say is beyond the scope of humankind. That's only something y'all know.
Just talk a little bit louder so everybody can hear. Go ahead. You good.
As someone who was given birth, I kind of want to know how a child can go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies, because they can't really talk.
But check this out. When they can talk, do you believe, let me ask you a question here. I know I'm quick to answer sometimes, but I've already considered a lot of things. Do you believe that a child can understand things even in the womb, sometimes by the tone? Say like if a husband and wife or girlfriend, boyfriend, however you want to put it, just arguing all the time. Do you think that that child that's inside the womb that can't talk can hear and understand that there's distress out there? It's distress. It's nothing good. Do you also believe, if you believe that, do you believe that a child can hear soothing things that's comforting to them while they're even in the womb before they can speak? See, the Almighty, we don't know the things that the Almighty does. We don't know all those things, but we know there's something that he cannot do. The Almighty cannot fail. He cannot fail. If our job is to bring up a righteous seed, see, that child is still in innocence at that point in time. But see, here's the thing. Can we say that it is not the Almighty, because the Almighty creates good and it creates evil? How do we know that that estranged child don't come from the Almighty? Created maybe for his day of evil. See, we got good and we got evil. Some of us might be here to set as an example of what might happen when we're not righteous. Then others might be an example of what happens when you are righteous. See, even the righteous are taken away sometimes. We don't understand. They say, he went too soon, she went too soon. The Almighty might be taken because they don't want to see them here in this day of destruction. See, I'm going to tell you, my mind always going, it's always going. It might be why I talk so daggone fast, because it be so much going through my mind often. And like I say, I'm still learning. And I understand the more we learn, the more is required of us. I understand that. Because if I learn something and I keep it to myself, then it benefit me to learn it. The Almighty said, go tell them what I said. So when I learn something and I don't share it, am I being obedient or disobedient? But yet still we have people that say, you know what? Man, I just ain't gonna say nothing to them. I ain't gonna say nothing to them, and they ain't gonna listen. They ain't even listen to Moses. Why they gonna listen to me? So why should I say it? Because the Almighty said so. Simple enough. Because he said so. Now, am I gonna be rebellious and not open up my mouth when he clearly instructed, open up your mouth? Said, cry loud, spare not, lift up your voice like a trumpet, and to show his people their transgression. At the same time I'm showing them, I'm showing myself. So I'm one of them people too. So it don't just apply to y'all, it applies to us. Now, did we get a consensus on where I'm gonna go from here? Am I gonna talk about marriage? Am I gonna talk about those things that pertain to life and or death? What's the other one I said? Obedience. Dealing with how they say death before dishonor. That was a question asked. Matter of fact, Moray, Ezekiel asked this question one time. Do we love Yah more than we love ourselves? We got ourselves and not be rash to answer that question, because we always gonna be held by what we say. And as a man thinketh, so is he. So true. Now we should, but actions tell a different story sometimes, don't they? Yes, sir. So did anybody aware the internet send anything in, or what do y'all think? What do you think? What do you think? Marriage, you think marriage? What do you think?
Marriage be good. Yeah.
All right.
That's always a good topic.
All right. And the reason I asked that, I just want to talk here for a minute before we get started. The reason I asked that, see, we got to remember that we all, for the most part, were born outside of our land. we were all born into a situation where we've been taught to go by what this man say marriage is and isn't. We've been taught, for the most part, those who pay attention, and I know this is going to be, and let me make this disclaimer first and foremost. For any women that might be listening, I am not talking against any woman. I'm not talking against any man. I'm talking what I believe to be the truth, according to what I see and according to the scriptures. All right. So I want to be clear about that. I don't want to have somebody be all upset because this is Yah's day. This is Yah's day. If somebody asks something and I say something and they feel offended by it, if you can hold it till whenever, you get my number and just give me a call and we can talk about it. We have books in our hand and we can talk about these things. But I personally believe that in today's society, here in, say, America, men are held to a higher standard in the court system. I'm not saying that this don't happen to some women. I'm not suggesting that at all. But men are held to a standard which we should be providers. Do you understand? We should provide a woman's clothing, shelter, and the duties of marriage or whatnot. But you get the mass majority of women who want the man that's making X amount of dollars. That's six-figure man, and that's a small amount of men. So say you got 80% of women probably going after 20 men. But that being said, that's the sidebar because I want to give it something to consider. When things go awry in a marriage, and even for those who are not married, we're gonna get into that as well. Then when they go to court, then they're talking about a child support or this or that, the other. Then a woman is taught that if a man can't provide this money, then don't let him see his child. I'm saying, if anything, that's hurting the child. And we have to think about these things because we know it takes money to raise a child. But when you have a child that don't have that father in his or her life because of and I'm going to say it, a vindictive woman, for whatever reason, because a child should have access to both parents. And ideally, and again, I'm saying ideally, this is not condemning anybody. Ideally, it shouldn't be, and I don't like the term baby mama, baby daddy, but that's just me. It should be a husband and a wife in the same household with a good commitment to raising those children that belong to the Almighty Yah. Because when it's not like that, then it's rules in this house that may be different from rules in this house. That means the child is going back and forth or whatever the case, there's not a strong foundation there for that child. It's almost like the child is doomed because they should be showing as husband and wife how that husband interacts with that wife, how that wife interacts with that husband to build up the household so that the children can see, whether it's a daughter or son, how they should learn. We learn by the things we see. We learn by the things that we hear. That way the children learn how to grow into their adulthood and learn how a wife should be from her mom. The children, the son speaking, needs to learn how to be a man from his father, learn how to be a husband from his father based on the interactions. So if a father see, or should I say, if a son see his father being abusive to his mom, he's going to look at that as like, man, that's the way it's done. If a daughter sees that, man, that's the way it's done. Because you have some households that you're going to have a husband and wife. Then you have some households that's probably going to be just a single parent in the house. Now, being a single parent in the house don't mean that you're just a single parent, that means you're a single person. Because if the father's involved because the marriage didn't work out, if the father's involved and he's doing his part where he's living at, if the mom's doing her part, then neither one of them can say, I'm a single parent. They can say, I'm single, but you're parenting together. And a lot of times it don't work even that way when a relationship is destroyed. But keep in mind, before destruction comes what? According to scriptures. Before destruction comes pride, right? It can be in a corporation, a building, a marriage, or any type of relationship at all. To where you get to a point to where you just can't agree. Because somebody ain't gonna want to humble. You see what I'm saying? Now keep it in mind. In order to walk with the Almighty, we gotta be what? We gotta be humble. But sometimes we hold on to things and we gotta learn to let things go and figure out a better way. We have to figure out a better way. Now, that being said, let's get into some things. I ain't trying to stir the pot, and the reason I think this subject is so important because I believe that there are probably millions, if not more, of married couples that are going through some things and don't know how to work those things out. And it's been like that. People don't tend to understand, those that haven't been married, they don't understand that marriage is work. Marriage is work. And you work together. And a lot of times, even in this land, in this country, a lot of women are offended because they say, wait, now I make more money than he do, or this, that, and the other, that the man says he's the head of the house. That he's the governor of the house. But I must say he's only the governor of the house under Yah. Because the house should be ran by Yah. And the husband just might be what you might want to call a co-pilot. But you govern that house in righteousness. Not any kind of way you want to govern that house. That ain't the way it works. But like I say, I think it's an important topic because a lot of times when people find themselves in a situation where there's a lot of stress and difficulties and things going on, sometimes people don't know where to go. They may not have anybody who they might trust to help them out, to give them some good sound advice. And you definitely don't want to take advice from anybody. If somebody's married and say they've been married a year or 20 or how many ever years, you don't want to get advice from your friend who ain't never been married. You don't want to go to your boys who still got a girlfriend and ain't got nobody. You don't want to go to your boys who ain't got nobody. You don't want to go to somebody who's inexperienced in that particular topic. You want to go to somebody who can give you wisdom. You don't even necessarily want to, you took counsel. You don't want to go to one of these just regular counselors out here who don't even know the ways of Yah. So people can get into a slump. They can get into a depression. Do a lot of things. But see, sometimes we forget to call on Yah, to humble yourselves, to get into your book and see what Yah says about marriage and how it should be. To understand that not only should a man not deal treacherously with his wife, but the woman should not deal treacherously with her husband. You should never go out and talk bad about your significant other to your so-called friends. Because your so-called friends, they're only going to start to despise. If I'm a husband and I talk to my friends in a negative way about my wife, then I'm encouraging them by the negativity that I'm saying for them to not like my wife, and vice versa. If my wife was to go talk to her friends about me in a negative way, then they're only going to see me in a negative way, even more so when you talk to your family members. Because family, say they stick close or whatever, you see. That's only going to bring more strife on your relationship. So the best thing to do is always fall back and lean on Yah. a lot of times, even with those that are not married, have to understand. You know how people got their boyfriends and their girlfriends, and they just want to play house. You know, they might even be, and again, I'm not trying to offend anybody by the words that I say. That's not what I'm about. But when it's all said and done, if you're Israel, you should feel as though you have an obligation to be righteous. And if you're Israel, then you know that the Almighty said there should be no whores among the daughters, right? And so we can't make the excuse to say, well, she was already that. Even if we said it in our head, she was already that before I got with her. She wasn't a virgin, but it's somebody that you got with, so you don't keep perpetrating things on. If she's good enough to lie with, she should be good enough to marry, right? And if any women are listening right now, along with somebody, I ain't trying to put nobody in the slump, but I'm gonna glorify the Almighty this day. Why ain't you married? Why ain't you married? See, I'm not gonna get into somebody else's business, but why aren't you married? Let me start out by giving a couple of examples. If you're listening by way of the internet, or whether you're in this room, I'm gonna make a statement first. Go to the book of Isaiah, the 54th chapter. Look at the 5th verse. It reads, for thy maker is thine husband. Thou of hosts is his name, and thy redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. Oh. Yah is our husband. Now I'm going to speak to those husbands that have a wife. Are we being a good example as a wife to Yah? Because we need to be a good example if we want our wives to be a good example to us. I'm getting ready to explain something here. And I hope people don't take this the wrong way. Say you get with a single woman, whether she have children or not children. You want to get with this woman? Hopefully you got marriage on your mind and understanding that that's a package deal. But say you interested in this woman and the same woman is interested in you. Do you think just because she just met you, she's supposed to start doing things that a wife would do right off the top? A lot of times, and ladies, if you're listening to me, again, this is not to be offensive in any way, but just examine what I am saying. Say if you've been on your own for a while, but you have children, and say for some reason, you ended up having to play the role of the mother and the father. That energy that you have is going to change. And it might be somebody that after a certain amount of time is interested in you, and you may, and don't be offended, you may project a lot of masculine energy at that time because you've had to do everything. The things that the man should have been doing, you've been doing. You've been doing things for a while. So it's almost like you might feel like your mother and the father, and you might not recognize that energy has changed, or you might recognize that energy has changed. So if a guy's trying to persuade you to do something, to say, I'm here, I want to make things better, I want to help, you might not be ready to relinquish the wheel, so to speak, and let him drive. You can even use the metaphor, he want to drive your car and you just sit back and relax. But you're not going to sit back and relax until you know he's a good driver. So that you can rest and allow him to do what it is that he's going to do. You see? So even if the relationship moved on, and you got married. And that energy is still there. It's going to end up being a clash because there haven't been time. See, I can understand why some people might say, well, you need to get to know this person. You need to take some time. You can take all the time that you want. But understand this here. In today's society and a long time ago as well, people understand that they're going to be who they think you want them to be for as long as they think they need to. Then once they feel like they didn't got you, and then they start to get comfortable, you might start to see a different person. But remember, truths are going to be consistent. If a person has been this way or that way from the beginning, and then they're the same way years later, that's who that person is. But a lot of times people tend to get comfortable once they think they're in there, so to speak. Then some people might say, well, your desire is supposed to be to me, say they got married. And sometimes people can twist what that actually means. It ain't if I like football, you gotta like football too. It ain't none of those daggone things. Her sexual desire should be for you. She shouldn't want to be with somebody else. That's what that's talking about. But let's move on. Let's just get into some things right here. I said I had a question. And let me read it one more time here. In the book of Isaiah, the 54th chapter, the 5th verse. It reads, for thy maker is thine husband. Yah of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. If we're dealing treacherously with our husband, why do we as husbands complain treacherously towards us? Because the husband is supposed to be a good example. That's the question. Anybody want to answer that? You got any ideas, Moray Michael? You want me to repeat what I just said?
Yeah.
I said that Almighty Yah, I went over Isaiah 54 and 5 again. Let me read it one more time. It says, for thy maker is thine husband. Yah of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The Elohim of the whole earth shall it be called. I said, if we, our men here, if we're the wife, if we're married to the Almighty Yah, and we're the wife, why is it that when our wives are not submissive to us, we want to get angry? But yet and still, as us being a wife, like I said, we got to be good leaders. We got to be right. We got to be on that track anyway of showing that we're trying to be right with the Almighty. So how is it that we can get upset with our wives if we're not dealing right with the Almighty? We're not being good wives. We're not being good examples. And even those that are not married, see, because now today's modern woman feel like a man should pay for everything. No, a man should take care of those needs of his wife. Hey, now these modern women want you if you're dating. Well, no, you're gonna pay my car. No, you need to pay some bills around here. You need to buy some groceries. You need to, man, I be checking out a lot of different things here, you know. And then you got those who might complain and deal very aggressively towards men, but say if their car break down or this or that and the other or whatnot. And like I say, these are things that I have researched. These ain't personal things. Then they want a man who they say they hate, they don't like, to come and help them. How is it that you want help from somebody that you say you don't like, that you're against? You see, so people are getting to be afraid of marriage. Now I can understand why it's a good thing that a man find a wife. I understand that. And we're going to get into some different scriptures. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Queen D. Israel has a lot to say.
I hope it ain't nothing somebody took
No.
offense to, because it don't pertain
Just
to
in time
everybody.
with the knowledge, truth. So happy I tuned in, hitting it right on 100. Teach. Now she has a question.
Yes.
How long before two should get married?
Well, Let me put it to you this way here. Some people might say, and then I'm gonna give you my personal experience. Some people might say you need to wait X amount of time or whatever. But this is what I'm gonna say from my personal experience. Put you on the spot, baby girl. After a short time, maybe a couple of weeks or so, in dealing with my wife that I'm married to today. And we've been together almost 16 years. Next month, we'll be married 15 years. February 18th. It'll be 15 years married, but we've been together closer to 16 years. So a couple of weeks after, and talking to my wife when I first met her, we sat down at my dining room table a while after. But let me say this, for a whole, maybe a year or so, I didn't even know her name. I felt her energy. I was working at a school down there at W.E.B. Du Bois Academy down there on Central Parkway and over the Rhine. My wife would bring children to that school daily. And for some reason, I paid attention to it and I thought, man, whoever she married to must be blessed. Because I didn't know no different. Whoever she married to must be blessed. And so every morning when I would see her, because I could feel that energy, and for me, it was just a really good energy. So I looked forward just to speaking to her. Didn't even know her name. Didn't even know her name. But I speak to her. I conversate just like that. I speak, she speak, whatnot. Then maybe a long time later, because our conversations were not even really conversations, it was just brief, because I ain't trying to interfere in nobody's relationship. I want to say, I don't know, it was a long time later, there was a phone call. And somebody told me there was a phone call for Miss Green. I said, who was that? I don't know no Miss Green. I said, that's the lady that you be speaking to. That's when I found out her name. I found out that she was not married, that she was in fact single, and I asked her out. After asking her out, in a matter of a couple of weeks, I knew that I wanted to be with this particular woman. Within about a couple of weeks. And see, I wanted to learn from Moray Dan. He's the type of minister, he would always say, if you love this woman, not talking to me, but he in his teaching, if you love her, you don't want to put them in trouble with the Almighty God. You don't want to put them in trouble for a few moments of pleasure. So I talked to Moray Ezekiel. Said, I really felt this woman right here, and I'm pretty sure I want to get married. Said, when you want to get, he asked me how long I've known her. And I shared with now, like I say, it had to be maybe about a year before I knew her name. No, long time before I knew her name, because I never hit on her. None of that type of stuff. Never even gave the impression that I was trying to hit on. But like I say, once I found out she was single, I gave her my number. I asked her out. We went to a movie. All right. But when talking to Elder Ezekiel, when he found out that we'd only been together a short amount of time, he said, you should wait. I said, well, how long? He said, at least 7 months. 7 months from that day, I married her. Now, guess what? The amazing thing is, I'm going to get somebody who don't know this about me a little bit of history. 7 has always been my favorite number, because I know it's Yah's number of completion. This woman has 7 children when I married her. My son's name is 7, his middle name. Again, like I say, my favorite number being 7, I set my garbage out every time it's on the 7th block. Not because of my wife, that's just who I was. Her shoe size was 7. My birth month is in the 7th month. You see what I'm saying? Her birthday is on the 7th. She had them 7. Everything surrounded me with 7s, and I'm afraid of these 7 children. I'm afraid of these 7 children. because I know I'd already been with somebody and one child called, but it wasn't good. So I had told myself, I'd never mess with nobody who got children. But the music was so loud, so to speak, that when you try to run, because a brother wanted, hey, I want to run, but I couldn't go nowhere. It's like the music being loud, but you can't turn the volume down. But like I say, I stuck with it because I figured once I take those children in my home, because again, it's a package deal. You take somebody, and the fathers wasn't. It was a situation. Let me put it that way. I don't want to. It'd be a blessing to me. I'm just gonna keep it real. I call hell, but I know that there's still blessings on the way. But long story short, to answer your question, how long should one wait? That depends on you and that man. This way, I wanted to hurry up and get married, especially after. See, because even though I'm a Hebrew Israelite man, and I know I shouldn't have been intimate with my wife. Honestly, I was. My wife had already had children and whatnot, and I was. But I didn't want to keep on adding sin. And knowing that I wanted to be with this woman, I said, hey, I want to get married. So I talked to the children. They gave me the okay, and we got married. So I would have to say, sister, that depends on you and that man, because I recognize that I'm adding sin. See, because somebody might say, well, she was already that way before I got with her. That don't mean, listen, a person's personal business is their personal business, but I'm not trying to add sin to sin. And I suggest that if women are with a man and they're really interested in being with that man, and that man is really interested in being with them, if they're good enough to lie with, they should be good enough to marry. So that being said, if you feel like you want to be married, make sure before you get married, if a man marry a fool, that make him the bigger fool. If a woman marry a fool, that make her the bigger fool. So make sure that you're on the same page before you get married. I'm gonna come right to you because I see you had a question, but I need to say this before I forget. Here's some things that we don't do, that we should do. Before people get married, okay, first thing, I'm not gonna tell nobody don't marry this person or don't marry that person, because you might be interested in somebody who is not or don't call themselves an Israelite. You need to have those conversations before you get married, because marriage is supposed to be a benefit for both parties. It's supposed to be a benefit for the woman and to be a benefit for the man. Now, in the days of old, a woman was coming from her father's house, and the husband started doing those things that the father was doing. It's not necessarily that way this time. However, a man should know, I'm supposed to provide. I'm supposed to have resources that she should be able to have access to. It's supposed to be a come up for her, but it's also supposed to be a benefit to the husband. So people, I would suggest that you have a conversation, because not everybody do this, before you get married, and ask. And see, I know a lot of times I don't want to use this term, and I'm gonna tell you the term that I don't want to use. It's something that's been said and people take it the wrong way. Well, what are you bringing to the table? Instead of saying something like that, the fellow to the woman, we both have to sit down and share what your benefit is going to be. In other words, a woman can say, these are the benefits that I can bring to this relationship. And a man can say, these are the benefits that I am going to bring to this relationship. That way you have expectations. Say there's a child born. Okay, say if you're trying to be involved with somebody who don't claim to be an Israelite, they're a Christian or whatever. How are you going to raise that child? Are you going to try to raise that child? Say the man is an Israelite man, but the woman, she's not. Or the woman, she's an Israelite woman, but the man is not claiming that. How are you going to raise your child? Because we're supposed to bring up children that's going to be there for Yah. We're supposed to bring up a righteous seed, a holy seed. So these are must-have conversations. And see, we need to stick to what we say. We need to stick to what we say. I told my wife 3 things all them years ago. And I hope that even if I'm gone, she could say that, well, he stuck with those things. Because we have to be one of our word. Because like I say, in a marriage, and keep in mind, even then, you're still going to run into bumps in the road. But you got to know how you're going to raise your children. You got to know that when the going get tough, that you're going to be there for one another. You understand? You can't run the first sign that things don't go your way, whether you're male or whether you're female, whether you're husband or whether you're wife. The Almighty Yah hates putting away. Then should you get married, you don't necessarily want to make a vow. Because if you make a vow, when you break that vow, the Almighty said, look, I don't want to hear you saying you made a mistake. Because he said he'll destroy the works of your hands. And the works of your hands could be anything. So it's best not to make a vow than to make a vow and not adhere to it. So there's just a lot of things that need to be considered. It's supposed to be a good thing for a man to have a wife. And it's a good thing for a woman to be a wife and have a husband. I'm going to share something with you. The greatest honor a woman can have outside, a Hebrew Israelite woman, the greatest honor she can have outside of being a queen, and we know everybody can't be a queen, even though I've used those as terms of endearment with my wife, saying that's my queen, my children, my son is my little prince, and my daughter, she's my princess. But we know there can only be one queen. The highest honor that a Hebrew Israelite woman can have outside of being a queen is a man's wife. A man's, and that's big. So men, you got to be careful who you choose to put in that position. And woman, you got to be careful of the man that you marry. So there are some things to consider. Because again, the Almighty Yah hates putting away. And for those that might say, well, you know, Israelites can have more than one wife. Let me say this. It's not a law. It was a custom in our land. And before you have your eyes set on more than one, learn how to deal with that one. Learn how to cherish that one and be good to that one. Give her the opportunity to have that time with you. And then don't even consider, if it's possible, don't consider trying to take another wife, not unless that first wife agrees with it. That way you can have peace and harmony. And I'm not saying this because I condone having more than one wife. I'm just saying I know some people talk about it. And see, even then, that means you got to have a little money because it's not ideal to have all those wives, whether it be 2, 3, 4, in the same house. A man was able to put this one in this house, this one in this house, this one in that house. And women know, just as well as any man should know, sometimes women they're gonna clash. They're gonna clash, and if that's not what you want, it's not gonna be productive to the marriage. So before you start thinking about 2, when you're just getting 1 together, don't try not to even start considering that. And if you do, let it be in an agreement. But work on that 1. Now, that being said, I think you said you had a question. I didn't want to lose my train of thought.
I was reading the question from this same individual.
Yes.
But she retracted, so never mind.
Well, if you retract, if you want me to answer that question, if at all possible, if I can answer it, I sure will.
You did answer it.
Oh, okay, great.
I think what happened was that she typed it in before she heard the entirety of what you had to say. That's why she retracted it.
Okay. I'm a firm believer that a man should be strong with Yah, a Hebrew Israelite man, in governing his house. Because if something's going on in that man's house and it's out of order, then that's going to fall on the man. That's going to fall on the husband. Now, again, like I stated earlier, some women, not all, but some women to believe that if that's my boyfriend, and he's supposed to pay this, he's supposed to do this, he's supposed to do that. I don't know where they got that at. I don't know where they got that at. Some people are just looking to see what they can get out of a thing, but if you want to get married, please take your marriage seriously. Please take it seriously. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter. And I can say now that this is going to be one of those long lessons, because when I got up here, I was kind of leery to teach on this particular topic because I didn't want to offend people and they take it the wrong way, but I had to go to thinking. Especially after I talked to my wife, because when she asked me what I was going to teach on, if I was teaching on marriage, I said, well, I had thought about it, but I wasn't sure if I was going to teach on it. Pretty much, I figured that she was co-signing, go ahead and teach on that. There's a lot of people who need to hear these things, even if their marriage is going well. But unfortunately, there's a lot that just hit a rough patch, especially in this pandemic. I ain't gonna call it a pandemic, this pandemic. Some people have then lost their jobs because they refused to take that shot. The stress of this thing has fallen on different households and different marriages and whatnot. But we also have to remember to be strong and be courageous in walking with Yah and honor your commitments. Yah is that third cord in the marriage. He's a witness for that marriage. That marriage is a covenant. It's an agreement. And we have to be serious. Now I said, let's go to, I believe, Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter. And in Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, let's look at I was just going to read the 14th verse, but I think I might start here at the 11th verse. It starts at the 11th verse and reads, and Yah said unto me, Israel has justified herself more than treacherous Yehud. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return thou backsliding Israel, said Yah, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you. For I am merciful, said Yah, and I will keep anger forever. Only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against your Elohim, and hast scattered thy ways into the strangers under every green tree. And ye have not obeyed my voice, said Yah. Turn, O backsliding children, saith Yah, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and bring you to Zion. Now, again, the Almighty said, we backsliders. We're backsliders. Now, how many of us gonna say we're not? The Almighty said, he's married to you, and in a marriage, there's an expectation. Even though you may not have talked about things before you got married, you had an expectation. But the thing is, you should have talked about it. Yah talks about what his expectations for Israel. So we should follow the pattern. We should talk about those things. And even if we are married and we didn't talk about it prior to getting married, now we're still up to talk about it because it might straighten out some madness. That's really not, I'll say, when you find a woman, when you find a man that you want to be married to, please don't just base it on lust and beauty. Don't base it off of lust and beauty. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're married for a length of time, and even if you don't be married for the length of time, that beauty going to kind of fade. As you get older, those looks are going to change. That beauty comes from inside. And if you're right in the sight of the Almighty, that beauty going to shine. Because that's going to be the person that you are. I ain't covenant, Maureen Michael, but your wife's spirit is a beautiful spirit. So I know you must have a good wife. Do you understand? You see, the fact of the matter is, I make jokes about my own self. I say, I didn't always look this way. I used to be handsome, dude. Did I used to be handsome, baby?
You still look handsome.
I appreciate that. But we got to be honest. We have to be committed. Yes, we have to be committed to our word. See, I'm going to say this right here, and this is for the fellas. I'm getting ready to come right to you. This might be kind of brass, but a man only got two things. He got his word, and he got those other things, those two things. And we shouldn't break them for nobody. We shouldn't break them for nobody. Yes, go ahead.
Got some comments and questions.
Woo! I hope I can answer those questions because I got a lot of lessons to go. Give me the comments first.
Okay.
And again, if I sound aggressive, I do apologize. I don't mean to really come off that way. I'm just really passionate about the things that I have to bring forth. Because those things not only pertain to you, they pertain to me as well. But go ahead.
First comment, you don't comment, the other two are questions. There you go, strong with the Most High Yah. And you're right, Israel says, Shabbat Shalom, family, praise Mighty Yah. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom. Great job.
Two questions. What is the proper way to court someone? What would be the do's and don'ts? You want the second question now, or you want to wait till after?
Well, I'm going to answer them one at a time, but go ahead and give me the second one.
All right, Queen D, Israel, it may be off topic. However, what is the difference between the heart and the mind when it comes to making decisions? Both powerful and willing.
No, let me answer that one first. Let me answer that one first. And well, when I say this, you might have to repeat that first question, but repeat that second question there. I'm going to answer that one first.
What is the difference between the heart and the mind when it comes to making decisions?
All right. I'm going to be perfectly clear with this. When the scriptures talk about the heart, it's talking about the mind. This thing here in our chest pumps the blood. It keeps us moving, so to speak. This is what we get our intellect. This is where we think. This is where we make our decisions. Like if somebody said, I knew in my heart she was the woman for me. Saying they knew in their heart. Now this is 3-4 relationships later. Obviously she wasn't the woman for you. See, this thing that we think with, this is where all our information is processed. This is from what we make our decisions from. We don't make our decisions from this right here. It doesn't have the ability to make those decisions. This is what guides us. This is where we retain everything at. You see, that's just like a lot of people, they don't understand that the body is the soul, and the soul houses the spirit. Even back in the day when they used to sell them little albums and things, and they used to say body and soul. Well, the body is the soul. But that's the difference. We make our decisions with this right here. When I get ready to make a U-turn, I don't make that decision with the in my chest. You see, I make that decision. We keep everything in our mind. That's just like when we remember a thing. You know, and this leads me to want to talk about a different topic right now too, because I express those same things. But yes, this is the mind. When the scriptures talk about the heart, it's referring to the mind. And what was that other question?
from beautiful dark skin, what is the proper way to court someone? What would be the do's and don'ts?
Okay, check this out. I'm gonna give an example. And keep in mind, everybody's not me. I recognize that, and everybody's not gonna agree. First, I want to be able to meet the guy. Say like with my daughter. My daughter, right, my youngest daughter is 14 years old. When my daughter is finished with school, and as she becomes more of a woman, if she wants to be interested in a fella, or the fella interested in her, I want to meet him. He got to come over. They want to sit down there in my living room or in my house and watch a movie or something like that. Okay. But my wife might be in the room with him. I might be in the room with him or something because I want to get to know somebody. See, because they want to be with something that's a dear part of me. My daughter, I'm not going to just turn my daughter, okay, you're 16, you can go out on a date now. Some people might say, 16. Yeah, 16, she's still a child. She's still a child. And I want my children, I still got two, they're still young. My oldest, she's in her 40s and the other in their 30s. Then I got wisdom and knowledge. Knowledge being my son, he's just 13, just turned 13 on January 1st. My daughter, she's 14. Got teenagers in my house. And the same thing gonna pertain to my son. I'm gonna make sure that if my son say he got a little girl that he like and they want to go, yeah, well, if I'm able and able to say, okay, we go to the movies. I might go with them and I might sit in the row behind, a couple of rows behind, let them sit up there. But I'm not getting ready to leave my daughter home with anybody. Now, we love our sons. Everybody know we love our sons, we love our daughters. But I think men are more concerned with their daughters when it comes to things like that. Not that I'm not concerned about my son, because I'm going to have those conversations with him. And like I say, if he got somebody he's interested in too, okay. Yeah, well, if times are still a good time, we go out and do those things. We're going to go out and do those things because I want them to be able to enjoy themselves, but they're going to be children at that time. Do you understand? I'm saying they can be friends, and if later on that friendship turned into something, hopefully a long time later, it's because they've already established a friendship. And I believe in marriages. Check this out, y'all. I believe in marriages instead of just looking on somebody and saying, well, he's beautiful, she's beautiful, and we in lust and things like that. I truly believe that you should be friends first. That way, when you start running through them rough patches and you're thinking about breaking up or something, then you got something to fall back on that got you close to the first place because you were friends. But if you never became friends, now you ain't got nothing to fall back on. So when the friction is cut off, it's just cut off. And then sometimes people say, well, on to the next one. But I think that's up to the parents' discretion as to when a younger person should start dating. In my case, I don't want my daughter going out dating nobody at 16. Some people might say that's harsh. Okay, I don't care about other people. You know, not in the way that I do my daughter. It might not even be 17. Now, that's not saying that, let me put it this way to be more clear. At 17, 18 years old, that's a great possibility that she may be able to date. But I'm going to be on them dates. Even if I'm not right there in the midst of it, I'm going to be on them dates. You see? I'm going to know that child. If they want to go, say, to a dance or something, I might not necessarily go to the dance with them. But I want to know where this dance is at. I want to know what time the dance is over. And I'm going to talk to the fellow, and I'm going to say this, and some people might say, you might not say that, but if a person and I know the things that I've done in my past, and I wish I knew those things then that I know now. But if somebody do some things to violate my child, it's going, hey, listen, I'll be old anyway. I feel like I ain't got nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be some issues. I'm just being serious. Because I'm trying to raise my daughter in the best possible way as well as my son. And I know people say, you know, people do this and people do that. Okay. Well, I'm trying to allow mine to be children for as long as they can and then grow into their adulthood, having the best possible advantage. And that's one of the reasons that I love the fact that me and my wife are in a union, and hopefully that union stands until one of us perish, if not both of us. Because I want our children to have the advantage of righteousness on their side.
What about when it's adults recording?
When adults are courting? When adults are courting, they, they just, well, hopefully they're wise. Hopefully the male has talked to them. Remember I said how there should be some conversations? Even to find out if you're compatible to even be going out there. You don't want to waste no time. In other words, don't just be going out because he looked good, she looked good, they smell good or whatever, but you haven't gotten to know them. You don't talk. So you might go out and go to a place where sometimes people expect to go out and get a bunch of money spent on them and this, that. You have a simple date or something like if you drink coffee, you go out and have a cup of coffee. You can go out to a park on a nice summer day if you're meeting during that time and go out and sit in the park and talk, just have them conversations. That way you can find out if you're on the same page before you get involved in doing something that you later on regret. Because then you find out, well, this ain't the person that I thought they really was or whatnot. So you don't want to waste time and you don't want to put yourself in a position to where you put other notches on your belt, so to speak. And you got to make sure that the guy that is interested in dating you, if it's going to be a fresh thing, isn't just interested in one thing. Because now it's like stop and go. And that ain't what we should be about. Now, I don't know what's in somebody's mind to where they, the reasons that they want to date. Are they looking for a companion? Are they looking for a husband? Are they looking for a wife? Are they just looking, some people say they just looking to have a good time? Yes.
Is courting still needed if neither of them are virgins?
I would say so. Because that don't mean anything if neither one of them are still virgins and they're older. Say they even got children or whatever. You still want to be dealing with that person for the right reasons. Because remember, we don't want to lower our standards. And I'm saying because the Almighty Yah has standards for us. Just because a person may have already been married or already had children or something like that, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're going out doing something. In other words, testing the water before we swim in it. Sticking our toe in it. I'm trying to be discreet. We don't want to go. We don't want to do those things. Please believe me, I've made those mistakes, but that don't mean I have to repeat them. I've made those mistakes, knowing daggone well what I was doing, and I was putting myself in harm's way with the Almighty. So I've always learned when you learn better, you do better. So I can't tell anybody what to do or not to do. I can only tell them what's right and what's not right in the sight of the Almighty Yah. Yes.
From Yazma Entertainment. Obedience is always a subject that can be unpacked in depthly. Obedience is the key to salvation and has to be thought frequently to drive the point home to stiff-necked Israel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's our greatest transgression? Think about this. Our greatest transgression. What is our greatest sin? Disobedience. Because disobedience covers it all. The very first commandment. You shall have no other deity, no other Elohim, no other before me. Everything falls under disobedience. That's our greatest transgression, that we are hard-hearted, stiff-necked, rebellious, flat out rebellious, even when we know better. Even when we know better. In other words, it's like playing Russian roulette. You take a firearm and you empty everything out, you put one slug in there and you spin the barrel. Who's willing to do that? And put up their head and pull the trigger. Who's willing to do that? Nobody but a madman. Nobody but a madman. In other words, we're playing with our life. We're playing with our life. This is a very serious thing. I hope and pray that my marriage always lasts, because I would never want to get out and do it all over again. I would never want to do it, because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. Looks can be deceiving. If you have any issues at all, work it out with the one you already got. And be happy. Be happy. Yes.
There's an elaboration from Beautiful Dark Skin on the courting question.
Mm-hmm.
They are two adults courting for the purpose of marriage and building a household.
Okay.
So
Long
I guess
as-
she wants to know, with that in mind,
Be very
what
specific.
would be the process of courting with this in mind?
Well, if they both of age and everything, then they both know how to be responsible for themselves. And sometimes, you know, I'm not gonna say you can't kiss and embrace, but keep the lid on the cookie jar. You know, and he should respect that. He should respect that. Because see, you want to be sure. And sometimes I know people want to see if this is working well or how that works before we get married. I'm not gonna tell somebody to violate the law. I'm not gonna do that. And again, I'm getting ready to say something that is not to offend anybody at all. I'm just gonna say something. If someone was to ask you, Maureen, Michael, I know you taught your class already, but I just want to ask you a question, okay? Because I don't want everything to necessarily come from me. If someone was to ask you, what's the biblical definition of a whore, what would you say?
In the scriptures, if you look at it in the scripture, it's a woman. Don't even have to have multiple mates. It's one woman who has premarital relations prior to even becoming a wife.
In other words, whore is a woman that has sex with any man that is not her husband. That is not her husband. Now, I'm not saying that to address anybody, because I know there are women who've been married, divorced, or not married, but had children or whatever, then been married again to somebody else. That don't mean just because they've already done something that we should say, well, you already done that, so hey. No. Because then, again, that's making that man, and that man would be a what?
Man, he'd be a whore.
He'd be a whoremonger.
Yeah.
You see? And the Almighty said, there should be none. There should be none. And they're both transgressions. And that's the only way I can put it. But when people are of age, please go out, entertain yourselves, do what it is that you want to go out and do on a day, but keep the Almighty at the forefront and do those things that are right. And if he's interested, he'll wait. If you're interested, wait. I'm not going to say everybody did that. I've been married more than one time. But I've learned there's been a process. And I'm grateful for the knowledge that I got. Everybody, understand this, everybody is not for you. I'm talking males and females. Everybody's not for you. And hopefully, when you get married, you got somebody that's going to ride with you. They're going to roll with you till the wheels fall off. That means somebody then went the way of the fathers. They'll ride with you till the wheels fall off. They'll be committed. See, marriage, it's an agreement. And that's why I said earlier, if you get married, when you get married, I don't tell anybody don't make no vows, but I'm suggesting that I wouldn't. Because what if you break those vows? You make a vow to the Almighty, you better keep that vow. And the Almighty, Yah, he's the one who ordained marriage. And he's the third cord in that marriage. That's why marriage should be ran accordingly. Man, a Hebrew Israelite man should just get married and say, nah, hey, you my wife, I'm running things the way I want to run. No, he should run that household in righteousness, period. Period. There's just so many different things that I want to cover. Let's see, go to book of Genesis, 2nd chapter. Yes, sir. 1 second.
Oh, no, I just wanted to make
Oh,
I apologize.
no thanks. No thanks. Wait.
Just a quick comment.
Yes.
Everything you said is spot on. I don't have to tell you that. But I did because it is spot on. I know one big thing that, because my wife was Christian when I met her. And the one thing that I did with her was introduce Yahweh. Before I introduced myself and then I introduced my lifestyle. This is what we do. This is Yahweh. This is who, but you got to have a relationship. Like you said, we got to have a relationship with Yahweh. Because a lot of times you got to be careful too, sisters. Men will use Yahweh's words to manipulate. And
True.
That's horrible. That's horrible. If a man comes at you, for one, if a man loves you, he's going to care more about how you look in the eyes of the Father than under him. He's going to care more about how you look in the eyes of Yahweh. So I know one thing during the courting process, whether you male or female, is you got to let your mate know, or your potential mate know, that Yahweh is my king. This is what we do. I know the first topic I brought up to my wife, because I know that you were saying, like, we, about, falling for beauty, but I did that with my wife. And the thing was, I told her one day, I said, yeah, we can't wear mingle garments. Without any, she went upstairs, she said, come upstairs, open her closet, and said, let's get rid of stuff. I've been with Israelite women that really wasn't that, ready to do that necessarily. But yes, Yahweh has got, like you said, Yahweh has got to be at the forefront. Especially if you're dating a Christian or a Muslim, Yahweh has got to be in the forefront. And if they're willing to walk, and you tell them, walk with Yahweh because you want to. Don't walk with him because you with me.
Hallelujah.
Walk with him because you want to. And if they say, well, I don't want to walk with Yahweh, then that's your opportunity to keep it moving. That way, that'll save you from a whole bunch of stress. Like you said, y'all have a baby. Now he's still holding on to Islam or Christianity, and you Hebrew. Now y'all arguing, you fighting. All that stress, it ain't even needed when you establish yourself through Yahweh. Praise Yah. Great teaching.
Hallelujah. Chime in anytime you feel, man, because see, here's the thing. There's so much for us to understand in dealing with marriage that even though you've been married, I've been married for a number of years or whatever, you can still learn something. And then those that are grounded in Yah, hopefully they're passing on information to those that they know that want to be married. Because marriage can be a beautiful thing, but you got to be on the same page. You got to be on the same page. And understand this. I might as well say this before I go to the next scripture. When a man and a woman gets married, especially say that last question from last person, they've been married before, both of them. Okay, if you could respond to that individual, if I could just have your approximate age and if you've been married before or not, because I want to say something, but it's going to depend on if you've been married before or not. Something that I think to be vital. Now, while I'm waiting on that to come in, let me.
Well, there's another question.
Yes.
This is for 2 adults. Is it still as imperative to meet the parents prior to marriage? For 2 adults.
For 2 adults? If the parents are still alive, I would, and hopefully they all have a good relationship with their parents, I would definitely want to introduce them if they, if they have relationships with their parents and the parents is in the sense
Still as imperative.
as imperative. Not necessarily, but it would be good if they're adults. Like, are they young adults? Are they older adults or whatnot? Yeah. I would say if it's somebody, like 21, call themselves an adult or something like that, I would think that it would be a great idea to introduce the other person to their parents and maybe even get some insight. Because a lot of times, your parents, you might not understand.
Something that you don't.
Yeah, they'll see
Very
something that you don't see. See, I was once a male too. That's just like, I'm like this right here. And again, this ain't the throw nobody up under the bus or nothing. But say my daughter dating somebody and I ain't met the individual. But he pulls up and I don't know that they dating, right? And he blowing on, waiting for her to come out. I ain't even met this joker.
Right.
And you coming up blowing the horn? What, you trying to avoid meeting me? I ain't. Nope. He's showing character right there. That's not a good character. See, if anything, he want to come in. Hey, Mr. Israel, hey, my name is so and so. He want to introduce me so I can get a feel of who he is. And even if and you know the way I am with people, you know how I am. I can tell if he putting on a show or not. Or if he for real. So, but yeah, I would say if the couple is young, if their parents are available and they have good relationships with their parents and whatnot, I would think that it's a good idea to introduce them. I would never want my child to be dating somebody I don't even know who the joker is.
Right. I agree.
Oh,
I agree.
that's telling me something about who he is right there. No. But like I say, if they're older and they're wise and I'm not gonna tell nobody how to govern their life, but if they have a good relationship with their father and their mother, and both of them are still living, or one of them still living, or whatnot, they got a good relationship, I would think it'd be a good idea. That way they can see where you come from, what your people is about. Now, where was I at here? Genesis 2. And let's go to where some might call the first marriage. Starting at the 18th verse. And Elohim said, it's not good that man should be alone. I will make him and help meet for him. And out of the ground, Elohim, he formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the earth and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called them, whatever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle and all the fowl of the air and every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an helpmate for him. And Yah caused the deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and clothed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Now I don't need to read the 20th, I'll read the 25th verse. And they were both naked, and man and his wife, and not ashamed. But let me ask a question here. I think this is a silly question. I'm gonna ask this question. When they say they became one flesh, of course they're two individuals, but they're one mindset, and they're one for the other. So let me ask you a question. And this question has been asked, and I think it's a relevant question. So they're gonna go on a cruise ship and take a cruise. But the husband invites mom to come along. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But let's say some misfortune happened. Y'all, will it never happens this way? Let's say some misfortune happened and the ship start to sink. And the man can only save one individual, either his mother or his wife. And like I say, y'all forbid we ever find ourselves in a situation like this. Mom's in her 80s or so, got a new wife, and the ship is sinking, and you can only save one. If a man is listening right now, and he's got his queen beside him, who do you save? Do you save your mother? Or do you save your wife? And I'm going to come to you in just a minute. Somebody type it in real quick. I'm going to tell you who I would save. Then I'm going to let Moray Michael say who we would save. Then I'm going to let him speak on why he would save that particular individual. And if somebody want to type it in, if they're courageous enough to send it in, tell me who you would save and why. And this ain't to put nobody on the spot. Now, let me answer this question. If I were in that situation, and y'all forbid, I never would want to be in that situation, I'm saving my wife. I don't want to talk too much before the people start typing anything in, if they're going to type anything in. About 30 seconds, Moray, I'm going to ask you who you would save. Keyboards ought to go crazy right about now. Hold on. If we get anything, I hate having dead space there, but I just want to give it just a few seconds. About another 15 seconds. So y'all just look at my ugly face. Well, look at my beautiful face. My wife said I'm still handsome, so I'm going to go with what she said. Yes, all right? Yes, well, about another 15 seconds. All right, Moray Michael, who would you say?
Praise Yahweh. Like you said, y'all forbid that ever happen. It would have to be my wife, because she comes from me. She's a part of me. So that's who I would say.
Let me give my answer. I said I would save my wife. I love my mother. My mother's deceased right now, by the way. But I always have her picture up on that stool that you brought in. I mean, before that stool, those who know me know I'd have her picture sitting in a seat. Then I took it from that seat and I had it sitting up on that bar at the old building. But I would have to say, I would save my wife, because my mom already did her job. She raised a man. And the scripture that I just read lets us know that when we take a wife, we leave our father and our mother and we cleave unto our wife. And if I only had just that one, if it was just impossible for me, because if I could save both of them, that would be my desire. But if I could only save one, I'd have to say, Mom did her job. And I don't want to see Mom go. But I got that wife. And then even if I had children, say they were at home, or whether I didn't have children, hoping to have children so that name can go on even more so, because I know I have other children as well. Do you understand? But I'm going to cleave to my wife. And I can only hope that my wife cleaves to her husband as well.
Yes, sir.
Now, go ahead and say what, because you had something over there.
From Uriah Israel. I would try both, but ultimately wife. Queen D Israel says, that's a tough one, IDK, either my Abba or my husband. 2 crying emojis. Abiel Israel says, I agree, elder, would be the wife. Sydney Israel says, wife. Beautiful dark skin says, I would say wife, she still needs to raise her children. Nesha says, my husband would save me. And I don't know what this means. But Queen D Israel says, Cain.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm glad you brought this scripture out because in Israel, the one thing that's one of the things that's a problem is we have Israelite men that beat on their women. They beat them. I saw one where the guy had multiple wives. My wife has showed it to me. He had multiple wives, and he's saying, "Come here, B, you my B," and these are his wives. And when you brought this scripture out, what we as men need to realize is that when you hurt your woman, you hurt yourself. The Almighty didn't take and form her from something separate. The Almighty took one of Adam's ribs and formed a woman because she comes from man. So that should be a great formula to treat our wives better than we do. Watch how we deal with them from us. And for most of us Israelite brothers, for every slap, punch, push down that's given, essentially you hitting yourself. And we look like idiots doing that. Praise y'all.
We have to also ask ourselves, are we hypocrites? Understanding that the first woman came from a man. But after that, every man that came forth from a woman. Do you understand? So our sons and our daughters, they come from that woman. And we should try and learn how to deal with those women in a manner to where, now I understand times didn't change. You get some women to be beating up on guys. I understand that. So I ain't gonna say, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, I'm never gonna say that there's no reason to ever hit a woman. I'm not gonna say that there's never any reason, but I'm not trying to suggest that people just go out trying to beat a woman, this, that, and the other. But you might have to do that to get a woman up off of you, so you either way.
But I'm not talking about.
I understand what you're saying. I'm going somewhere else with it.
Because it's Israelite men that will beat on women.
Yeah, I'm going somewhere else with this.
I'm not talking about defending. I'm talking about he came in mad because something happened at work and he's punching her. That's what I'm talking about.
We understand. I'm on the same page you are. On the same page.
It didn't sound like it. That's why I explained.
No, I was giving another scenario. And I'm getting, we're supposed to always, you gotta let me finish here, but we on the same page. We definitely on the same page. All women, we have to understand this, fellas. You wouldn't want anybody beating on your mother, your sister, your daughter. So when we do that, you know what we're being hypocrites. And a hypocrite is somebody who will do something that don't want it done to them or to theirs. That's right. So that's why, sometimes I'll give an extreme example, but I'm always going someplace with it. The bottom line is, we're supposed, and I say this to the youth all the time where I work. Because it used to be when I first started working there, I would see guys always hitting on these girls, not understanding that the girls were starting it. But I still tried to get them not to be this way because they'd have a fit if they saw somebody putting their hands on their sister, their mother, or one of their loved ones. Do you understand? Yeah. And I think that's the nature of a man. I know my sons, they saw somebody putting their hands on their sister. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a row.
That's right.
Same page. I was having to bring that one side up in case you need to get someplace. Because even myself, ain't a woman alive on this earth can say that I put my hands on them in any kind of manner to try and hurt them. Nobody can say that. But let's just say I found myself in a situation, y'all forbid, that a woman is, for whatever reason, it should never happen, but just start punching on me and all this old type of stuff. Hey, stop. Hey, stop. Right. I'm not going to go to punching her in the face or anything, but if I can't grab it, you want to struggle, that arm that she keep hitting me with, I might punch it so hard I knock that bad boy out of socket. Not that I ever want to do that. Just so I can go. Because I don't want nobody, I'll never let nobody see me out of character, because that's not who I am. Just so I can walk away. You know? So if the brothers want to come after me for that, I say, hey, you better check with somebody else or whatnot, because I need to get away. I ain't never ain't a woman alive can never say that I put my hands on them in a manner, and I'm 63 years old, going on 64. Ain't a woman alive can never say I did that. Because I'm adamant that, like I say, there is a reason that a person might have to in order to say themselves. But ideally, no. You don't do something to somebody that you don't want done to yourself or some of your loved ones. Period. And I stand by that. Now, in the book of yes. Go ahead.
Comments and questions online.
Oh, this might be an extended lesson, but I guess hopefully it's a good topic. It's got some interest. Okay,
it is a good topic.
Great job. Go ahead.
Alrighty. I'm going to do this out of order, but there was a reason why. Okay. Beautiful dark skin. Abuse is not just limited to physical, spiritual, and emotional abuse is the biggest problem amongst Israel. Queen D. Israel says also verbal abuse. She also goes on to say women as well can be very abusive. Now comes a question from Miss Sydney Israel. Shalom. What if the boat contained your first and your second wife? Who would you save then?
Ooh.
I'm only gonna have one. Me personally, I only have one. Now here's the deal. If I had to answer that question, and I pray for the Almighty Spirit on this, ain't no need of me holding my answer and then trying to justify trying to save two at the same time and all that type of stuff. She asked a specific question, so I'm gonna have to give a specific answer. That first wife. If I got two wives at the same time, but we're not even attempting to have that discussion, because if I wanted to have another wife, it's not something that I would do behind my wife's back and say, "Woman, deal with it." That's not my desire. But if it was ever to come about, it would definitely be a discussion. I know it's guys. Excuse me, not this ain't dogging nobody. It's hell dealing with one woman, and I'm sure it's hell for one woman to deal with us at some time. You see what I'm saying? Imagine two. Now, if it works for whoever, it's for them. But I'm gonna say that first wife, because if you take a second wife, that first wife, you don't diminish from her the stuff that you're doing. So, hey, I hope that answered that question. And I can answer that one for me with no hesitation. But right now, I'm only, that's my baby girl right there.
Thank you, big brother.
All right, here we go. Now, that last scripture was Genesis 18, or was it Genesis 2 and 20?
That's when you went to Genesis chapter 2, you read verses 18 and 25.
I read verses 18 to 25. Okay. Let's go to Proverbs 31. And if you got something, brother, feel free to chime in anytime, all right?
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes. Don't give me no trick questions now.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
For people who have been married for a significant amount of time, what would be your suggestion to keep the interest level and the amount of spice up in a marriage?
Well,
because a marriage is something that you need to maintain.
yeah, you want to keep the fire burning. When you're able to do certain things, you might want to start doing some things that do some things. Get out when you can. Let me say this right here. I understand that this pandemic thing is going on, and sometimes you can put yourself in certain situations that you probably shouldn't put yourself in. But in being careful and just not considering before you do some things, do some things. If you want to go out sometime and enjoy one another's company, because you might have children or whatever, you just want to get, not that you don't love your children or whatnot, but you want to get out and spice some things up. Just do something different to keep the flame going. By all means, if it's within reason, go ahead and do those things. It depends on what you guys like. You might not have been bowling in a long time or whatnot, and you love bowling, and you both like to bowl. Then go out and go bowling. If you like to dance, you know, you might not all the time feel comfortable going to a crowded place because you never can tell who has what. Set up a date night. Like we have a date night. Set up a date night to where, whether you're in your own, the comfort of your own home, or if you have a different place to where you can go and set up, go out there, and you know, we supposed to have like tomorrow night we supposed to have a cheesecake and wine or cheesecake and drink type thing going on there. I suggested for tomorrow night. We might be able to do that tonight. I don't know, but just try to. I see my daughter's nose like that. But it's all right. My wife would set up some things, you know, on previous date nights to where she got some candles going and made some of that little punch, you know, and put on something nice or whatever. We get out there and be dancing, you know, got a little area just set up for us. But that was in the comforts of the house. You know, me personally, I don't necessarily like to be out, but I know staying in a lot and not really going anywhere, the other person might start to feel like I just need to get out. So start doing those things that are pleasing to you, that you both can agree on doing, because you want to keep the flame going there, and you don't want to feel like the other person. You don't want nobody to feel like they're just being kept captive, so to speak. You can't really get out and do anything and still be able to enjoy life. Just be real careful and do what you're going to do. Me personally, right now, I don't just necessarily want to be around a lot of people myself. When students run up to me, hey, oh, they take a step. Adults, I'm talking to adults, and they get too close, so I, you know, try to be discreet, and one time, you know, just step aside, and that thing, I see they stepping over there. I'm like, wait. Just recently, somebody got stuck in the elevator. And it worked this last work day. It was THR day because I didn't go in yesterday. But she got stuck in the elevator. The elevator's up about so far or whatnot. And, you know, I called appropriate people that need to be called. I told her I was going to stay there until they came and got her and the student that was stuck in the elevator out. Next thing I know, a bunch of females start coming over there, and they, you know, they want to huddle around and everything. I'm trying to tell them, go ahead. But they didn't do that. Next thing you know, I'm surrounded by a bunch of, it could have been male or female, but there's a bunch of women right there. Now, I'm not feeling all that comfortable. You know, everybody's this close to that. Man, I left. You know, because I don't like being around a bunch of people like that I'm just unfamiliar with, or what, even though I know who they are. You know, I want some space regardless. You know, I don't want, because when people go to talking, sometimes a certain amount of spittle will come up out of your mouth or whatever. I don't want nothing. You ever been so close, somebody do something land on your lip or something?
Oh, that
like,
was my
man.
moment. Oh, you want to dip my face in
Man. So, but that's what that is. I don't want to be specific, but do some things. If you both can agree on it, whatever it is that you want to do. I love the roller skate. Me personally, I ain't been roller skating in a little while now. You know, I'd gotten sick, and you know, after I got sick, it wasn't corona, but my immune system had shut down on me and lost a bunch of weight and everything. Still trying to get myself back together, and with everything going on, I just haven't had a desire, literally, to be around a bunch of people. And for anybody who knows, if they've gotten sick, whether it be because of corona or they had something going on, you know, you just jump right back out there because it then kind of got you on your guard. So I know I probably didn't do that answer no justice, but I am suggesting that you do some things, you know, even if you have to just get creative in an area that you're comfortable with. You know, this is winter time. I know some people like to go camping. My wife been on me for what, not on me, but I know her thing, she want to go camping. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to do no ice camping, and I didn't do it in the summertime, but I do plan on doing it. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why is it important to keep the interest of your spouse in you?
Because you don't want that interest to fade to somebody else because of one or the other feeling neglect. Because in a marriage, people, even in relationships in general, you know, but right now we're talking about marriage. Your actions or inactions can make someone feel neglected, like they're unappreciated. Their mind can go to one to think, well, if they're not doing certain things with you, they might be doing those things with somebody else, and it can create distrust. It can make people feel like this person might have a different agenda. It doesn't necessarily make it true, but you don't want nobody to feel bad because they're feeling neglected. Your significant other is that significant other for a reason. And they deserve the attention. I remember, you know, there was a time when I had, what was that? That I had to have a surgery for. No, with my hands. I can't think of the word. Wasn't
Carpal tunnel?
it was carpal tunnel or something. I couldn't use my hands. If I did something with my hands for too long, they'd go numb. I'd be laying down, my hands would go numb. I have to get up, shake them out, run them up under water. This went on for some years, a bunch of years. Finally, I had the surgery, because before that, you know, I couldn't even rub your back. I couldn't rub on it. Couldn't rub on it. Now, ever since I had my surgery, I got my feeling back, my hands ain't going dead, and I can't keep my hands off. I said, it was just making up for lost time. So, but that's a different story. That's when I try to keep the interest there. But we got, okay, I'm gonna ask these questions. Come on, bring it on.
Y'all's one entertainment, powerful teaching, Elder Hart. Question: do we have testimony in Scripture of the proper order of marriage, as far as courting, ceremony, what a man brings to the table, and what a woman brings as well?
Well, there was a dowry for a virgin, and of course, I think that people were most definitely chaperoned or whatnot. I would have to go that particular thing and be more specific. I got a lot of things in my head, so certain things I don't want to be rash with my mouth. But of course, there was always an order, and we're the ones who tend to be out of order. We're definitely the ones to be out of order, but absolutely, and we want to always try and be in order. So it's always good when we can research some things, and in doing our research, I personally believe we should. We can highlight our books. We can also have some different. I got a whole bunch of these books here that I write in. I got in like a couple of different bags. You see, so that's for reference material. And, you know, I get a little older, but I wish my mind was as strong as Moray Yoel's and yours too. Y'all got them younger minds, and I know y'all get up in age, but sometimes I forget personal things. You see what I'm saying? Then I have to think about it for a moment. But of course, yeah, we always had order. That's when I said that me personally, up until a certain age, mine would be chaperoned. If y'all will, if I'm alive, I'm definitely gonna want to meet. And I'll say things openly because I don't want even my child to think that it's okay to be dating somebody and me and their mother not know what's going on or not even know who that fella is. Because everybody that get with these females ain't good for them. And vice versa. It can be some women that get with these males that ain't no good for them and have an agenda. That's just like you can have somebody and they know and somebody know that you really like them. But they not really feeling the same way about you, but they know you like them, so they use you for what they can use you for. You see. So we don't want our children to be suckers, if you will. So that's why it's so crucial that we make these things known to them as well. Where did I say go to? Did I say Proverbs 31 and 10?
You were leading to that.
I was leading to that, but let's go and make it happen. Let's get to it. And everybody that's watching by way of the internet, thank you so much for being with us here. In the book of Proverbs, the 31st chapter, the 10th verse, there's a question asked there, and that question is, who can find a virtuous woman? That's a question mark there. That's clearly asking the question, who can find one? For her price is far above rubies. Let me tell you, like when Moray Michael was reading Proverbs 31, they talked about the virtuous woman. He talked about some of the attributes. That's not saying that if a woman is not doing those particular things, that they're not virtuous, because their virtuousness comes from them keeping the law. See, it goes on to say many have done virtuously, but that virtuous woman excels them all. That virtuous woman keeping the law. She's keeping the law. Somebody who's doing virtuously, they may be attempting to keep some of the law or whatnot, but that virtuous woman, she's keeping the law, period. You see? Now, you can have certain attributes that's going to be a good attribute. It don't necessarily have to be these attributes here. And you're right, when people would read that sometimes, they would take this out of context as if this is what you have to look for.
Right.
No, I mean, if she's got some of these qualities, say if you got some farmland or something like that, she's got some of these, that's good. But there are other attributes that a woman can have. Like her focus is on keeping the law, period. And not trying to make excuses not to keep them. Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful dark skin has some more questions.
Yes.
Should we have a ketubah, a marriage agreement put in place prior to marriage? What should be done should those terms change?
Listen, I said that we should suggest that the male and the female sit down and have a good conversation, understanding that marriage is an agreement. We also discussed the vow. I stated that it's best not to make a vow. That don't mean don't be committed to that marriage. That means if you make vows, you better pay. Almighty hates putting away, but he said, don't make a vow and not pay it. Because you do, he don't want to hear, look, this was a mistake. I made a mistake. We shouldn't have got married. He said, he'll destroy the works of your hands. And again, isn't anything that can be. You see, so you don't want to put yourself in harm's way with that. So you don't have to have a contract. That's just like here in this land. You got to go down here and get a marriage license and all these things. We don't have to do that in order to become married in our own land. So it's good to have an understanding. That's when I said discuss. The male and the female should have a serious conversation and be people of integrity and saying what they're bringing to this union, because this should be a benefit for the husband and the wife. For example, in my relationship with my wife, I'm bringing my resources. I'm bringing my protection. That's just like if somebody is trying to do something to my wife or against my wife or whatnot, and it's something that shouldn't be done. Okay, baby, you done told me about it. Now let me deal with that. You see what I'm saying? My resources ain't like, well, you go get your job, because all my money I'm just spending on me. No, my resources are extended. A man should be he should take care of food, her clothing, her housing, the duty of marriage. You see what I'm saying? But that don't mean that it stops there. There's other things that men should, I believe, that should do for their wife, based on the fact that this is my wife. And if your wife is a part of you, you don't want to get yourself together, but say she ain't got but one dress. She got 1.5 pair of shoes or something.
Yeah.
Like the soul wearing out, and you talking about, well, that look good for about another 3-4 months. It'll be summertime pretty soon. You know what I mean? In other words, not being selfish. You see? So again, there should be benefits for both parties. It wouldn't be a benefit for the husband if there was nothing. You married me because I'm beautiful, so I'm just gonna be beautiful, and that's it. So what else should be? I'm bringing me. So And not saying that that's what some would do, but we know how it is. But you just we have to be careful who we marry. You want to get somebody who got something going on. I have a question. Back in the land, when a man got married, it was stated, and I got this down someplace, that he should stay home for a year, cheer his wife up, whatnot. Now, say you got a man and a woman who want to get married. Say the man ain't even got no job. Say the woman, she might. Maybe she don't. Maybe she on Section 8. Maybe one or the other might be collecting assistance or whatnot. I don't know. Now, I'm going to suggest that's not a way to start a marriage. I don't know if some of y'all agree or disagree. I'm saying that's not a way to start a marriage. The man should have something already in place. Because remember, ideally, she would be leaving her father's house, and then that husband would start doing those things that the father was doing. You understand? Anybody disagree with that? So a man should have something. Even if he had like a one-bedroom apartment. You see what I'm saying? On efficiency. He should not rely on, well, you got to play, baby. We get married. I just move in with you. Is that something that should be done, Marie, like that? Huh? What do you say, wife? Should this man have his own place?
He should have his own place. If he's moving in with the woman that he's interested in marrying, then he's not ready to be married because clearly he can't take care of you.
No.
He can't take care of himself. How he gonna take care of you?
Okay, I agree with that. Now, say he knew that, or say he didn't know. Say they got married, he moved in with her. The place is in her name. They get into it. She say, "Get out." He said, "Hey, I ain't got a place to go. I ain't getting out." So now she called the police on him. The lease is in her name, and she say she want nothing. Say they say we just gonna live together, and they think it used to be like it was back in the days. Oh, you together 6 months, so now you married. It don't work like that, fellas. You're supposed to be the man. We have to carry ourselves as men and handle our affairs. In this land, and this is sidebar, a lot of times, in a lot of cases, things are based on you having good credit. So do those things if you can, because it will be a help. It will be a help for you. That's not law, but it will be a help for you if you establish some good credit. You see, because sometimes people don't want to give you nothing unless you owe other people. They want you to owe. That's the way the credit system works. They want you to owe everybody and show back on time. And then if they see that, then they'll will on you and extend you some credit. See, back in the day, I didn't have no credit. I thought if I couldn't pay cash for it, I didn't deserve it. I shouldn't have it, should I say. Because I didn't understand that until I wanted to go buy something one time and I laid a whole bunch of money down. They said, cash, they calling on the whole thing, bring the box and all this other type of stuff. I didn't know what was going on. I was a little bit naive. This was several years ago until I told my uncle. They said, "You pay cash?" So that's what people did. So, but I learned over a period of time that you got to have some credit established, and when you do, and you maintain it, worries about paying on time, then you get more and more offers, and you put yourself in a better situation. If a person wants to go buy or rent an apartment, a lot of times people don't know, they check your credit scores like that. So we just always, especially when we have somebody, a guy, and that don't mean women don't get yourself together. That don't mean don't get yourself together, because you're gonna be a helpmeet. If you can do certain things, by all means do it, because you're more powerful together. That's their union. You're more sure, the man, he's gonna be the head household. He gonna take the lead. He should anyway. Most of the resources, but say if he fall on hard times, he's gonna be there to help. And nowadays Matter of fact, the way things are right now, sometimes it takes two incomes to make things work because things are getting to be a lot more expensive. That's not taken away from the man. He still need to do what he need to do, but don't rely just solely on that woman. You know? Yeah, as far as I'm talking about relying on that woman for the income. You know what I mean? Like some people might say, well, I'm supposed to be your desire. That don't mean I desire for you. What, like when Genesis, the 3rd chapter, the 16th verse, where the Creator was speaking to the woman, saying, "And your desire should be to your husband, and he shall govern or rule over you." That's in righteousness. That don't mean I say, well, your desire is supposed to be to me. First of all, the Almighty wasn't talking to the husband. He wasn't talking to me. He was talking to the woman. Do you see what I'm saying? And so if a man say, well, my desire is, hey, I've been working, I'm tired. You go to work and I'll just stay home. I'll clean up. No. That ain't what they was talking about. If we're able to work, if I can understand there might be some situations where a person is not physically able to work. I can understand that. But if we're able to work, see, we have a punishment too. And ours came in the verses after the woman in the book of Genesis. Do you understand? Get out there and you'll work the sweat of your brow. So you need to do what you need to do to be that provider that you need to be. We ain't never been a lazy people. So some of us, we didn't got into that mind state to where I don't feel like it. Some of them become sluggards. You see? We don't prepare, and we need to be prepared. That's just like summertime. Y'all ever seen a bunch of ants out there? And they seem like they're in a line, and they just moving, constantly working. I guarantee you, when the season changes, them ants be ready. When the season changes, are we ready? Get them storehouses together. Be prepared. I learned that in the Boy Scouts years ago. Be prepared.
We are prepared to buy the newest Jordans. We'll wait in line for days for new Jordans.
That ain't what I'm talking about. But I understand what you're saying, bro. I understand. One thing that I would never desire if the store's closed down tomorrow, and they're not gonna say, look, Kroger's is closed. They never gonna open back up again. Piggly Wiggly and all these other food stores, they done. Right? And right now, we hear how the shelves are going empty anyway in a lot of places. So what I'm saying is, be wise. If it's just you, make sure you ain't just got 1 or 2 cans left up in the cupboard, and you waiting to go get something else when you get paid. So if you have to make sacrifices in order to build up a little something, that way, if hard times come, you can still survive. But what if you have a family? What kind of man, have the opportunity to put some things together so that if hard times come? What kind of man is not going to take advantage of that, knowing the times that's coming before us anyway? It would be a horrible thing for me to know that my children are hungry and I'm not doing anything about it. I didn't prepare and try to do anything about it when I had the opportunity. But when the stuff hit the fan, then see that, man, ain't nothing, not a grain of rice, not nothing. And I had the opportunity, but I was selfish. And I spent all my money just on cars and Jordans and it's just stuff that's not going to be a benefit. I mean, there's a lot to this particular subject. And again, this is just a portion on marriage. So I might have to get to these other 2 topics at a later time, but we're gonna talk about this here for a minute. Go to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter. Speaking about marriage here.
Can you repeat that scripture.
The book of Ecclesiastes, 4th chapter. I was going to start at the 9th chapter. Let me go ahead and start at I'm not 9th chapter, but I was going to start at the 9th verse. I think I want to start at the 8th verse. In the book of Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter. Starts to read, there is one alone. An individual, just there's one alone. And there is not a second. Yea, he has neither child nor brother. Yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches. Neither saith he, for whom do I labor? I share with, for whom do I labor? And bereave my soul of good. This is also vanity. Yea, it is a sore travail. Verse 9. Two are better than one because they have good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falls, for he has not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But who can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Check this out. I need to read this 12th verse again. And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. And this is in addition to, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Now, I know somebody is wise, just listening. Spoke on a little earlier. What's that third cord? Somebody tell me real quick. That third cord. Now, it's true, two are strong together, but like I said, when that man being the head of the household, governing with Yah, and that woman is on board, they're supposed to be strong then, right? When they talk about things or whatever, when the going get tough, they're not quick to get going. Because Yah witnessed that marriage, he ordained that marriage, and he's the third cord. So when people get married, Israel, make sure that you're going into that marriage with the right state of mind. Make sure when you're going into that marriage, you have no more selfish ways. Because prior to the marriage, you could do what you wanted to do. You see what I'm saying? It was just you. But now when you get into that marriage, it's no longer just you. It's almost like speaking French as we. We lead. That's what it is. And we have to be responsible and respectful of the marriage. Because again, that marriage is an agreement that the Almighty is monitoring. And it's supposed to be done in righteousness. Now again, I read scriptures show that the Almighty said, look here, I carried you even though you know me. I'm married to you. I've been a husband to you. And even if we just look at it that way, we see Yah has been a perfect example of a husband. He's merciful. He's forgiving. He gives us an opportunity to try to make things right. So as husbands, as human, as mortal husbands, we have to be that same way. We have to show compassion. We want to govern our household, but in righteousness. We want to try to make things right in righteousness, not just, hey, this is the way we do it here. Forget what the book says. You my wife. Oh no, it don't work that way. It don't work that way. Let's go to the book of Psalms. When you get to Psalms, go to the 85th division. Psalms 85. I want you to apply this to marriage. Apply it to marriage. It reads, mercy and truth. Look at this, these key factors now. Because some people, they real critical and don't try to fix things. Something go wrong, boom, you out of here. Mercy is bringing that honesty to your marriage. I've heard people say, look here, you can keep secrets from your husband, you can keep secret things from your wife. And, you know, like if you want to go out and you want to spend a bunch of money and buy a bunch of shoes, just have them in the garage first. You know, then gradually bring, you know, you hear all kinds of things. But then you wonder, where the money going? That was grocery money. I watched a movie not too long ago. Forget the name of the movie. This woman, she wanted to go buy a new dress. She wanted to use the black card. But the guy said, look here, the black card, their mortgage didn't get paid the month before. He needed the black card to get the mortgage paid. She said, I'm getting a new dress. So it just led into a mess. It was a crazy movie, but mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace. Listen to me, y'all. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other.
Yeah.
Somebody break that down for me. I know it, but somebody, you or you, one of y'all, I want y'all to break it down. If not both y'all, y'all might agree with it. And the people that's listening. Let me read it for you one more time. I know you can read, but it reads, mercy and truth are met together. Goes on to read, righteousness and peace. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Speak on it.
Okay. Hallelujah. So when you are merciful towards someone, you are showing that person empathy. We're trying to understand what their point of view is. You may not agree with it, but at least you are attempting to get an understanding of that. And in being empathetic to someone, you are regarding their truth. Again, it may not be your truth, but it's their honesty. That's what they're putting forth. And you are acknowledging that. And when you have those things in place, that's showing righteousness. And in that righteousness, you will have peace. And them kissing each other, that's intimacy. All of those things in place, working in one accord, that's true intimacy.
Which is going to bring you peace. Speak on it, if you don't mind.
Oh, she hit the nail on the head.
Anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Hallelujah.
Praise y'all.
Hallelujah. If we can move on to Deuteronomy 24. You know, I asked this this question before, and I jumped ahead of myself, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it. And then if you want to elaborate on it anymore, feel free to do so. But that was in the 5th verse, it reads, when a man has taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife which he has taken. Now, in order for a person to do that, again, he got to have some kind of resources. He can't say, well, look here, you know, I wanted to marry you, you know, and this isn't just being funny or anything, but, you know, right now, I said we were going to get a place. I know I told you that I was going to move out my mom's house or whatnot. And I don't really have a job yet. But we're going to be all right. So
Mm-mm.
under a situation like that, because he's working on trying to get his paper up, as they say, so he can get their place. But she went on ahead and married him because there's a spare room at mom's house. Okay, as long as you pitch in, do something around the house, you're good. So he was under those situations. She knew it, but it was lust and old things, and he's cute, she cute, and all that. They said, we gonna go ahead and get married. You see what I'm saying? And situations like that happen. They said he should not be charged with any business. But he ain't got no real money. He ain't got no real resources right now. He don't have his own, but he shall stay home for 1 year and shear up his wife, which he has taken. So understanding that there are not necessarily that particular case, but maybe some cases something similar to that. Would you advise marriage? And if a person went on ahead and got married without trying to seek some wise counsel to maybe not do so right then, what is it that you might be able to add to kind of help them along the way? Because he's not supposed to be charged with any business, according to this. I'll go fight any wars or anything for a year. So if you didn't put yourself in a position where you just got married, but you can't really go do anything for a year, but you don't have no little backup, you ain't got no stash or nothing, that's starting out that union in a negative way, I would say. So anybody got any ideas on a situation like that?
Praise Yahweh. I studied that verse, and that verse isn't talking about anyone that's not coming to the table without anything. That's dealing with
I gave it
they got their stuff in order. Because if I counsel a couple, have a job, he's still living with his mother, then my advice with scripture is don't marry that man. He can't take care of you. He's not able to take care of himself. And if she say, well, he always dressed nice and keep a little change in his pocket, that's because his parents are taking care of him.
But say they didn't get. That's what I'm talking about. See, wise counsel, you're right. People should speak to somebody before they get. Like I said, I went to Elder Ezekiel. You see what I'm saying? But everybody's not going to think. Sometimes people do stuff in haste. You know what I mean? But go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like you tell me, you ain't let me finish. But no, I would tell them, no, I wouldn't. If they came to me, I wouldn't recommend marriage because, the order of things is Yahweh, then your house. You got to have your house in order before you even bring in a wife. Because if you don't have a house in order, then all it is, she's coming into chaos. And you can't, it's not easy to play the role of a man when you living with your mama. Y'all in the basement, y'all got a schedule when y'all can have fun time. And you know what I'm saying? You got to tell her be quiet or him be quiet. I mean, that's not living. And that's not what a man should do. Here, when I studied that, we lost that when we were brought into captivity because a lot of us were entrepreneurs. So we were able to take off a year where we didn't have to do, but we had things set up
already in place
and ready to go. We had livestock, food. We had, ways to take care of our wife, to cheer her up because she's coming from an environment where it was her father who did all that. So now you taking her in, now you are in the stead of her father, in a sense. So you have everything lined up and ready to go. But if you coming in the door with nothing,
nothing from nothing.
Leave nothing. I mean, if you coming in the door with nothing, you starting off wrong. Like you said, standing at the finish line, you starting off wrong. Starting off wrong, and no woman should want to put herself through that. Even if they don't have children together, no woman should want to put themselves through that.
But he loved me.
Right, and that's how they go to, oh, he loved me. If he loved you, then he would have his life together. You know, and like you said, maybe right now he can't afford a house, but he can get a little efficiency.
Something.
You know what I'm saying? To say it's mine.
Something.
Not to be a misogynist or anything like that, but women, man, they respect a man that's a man. You understand? Women respect that. You come in, you know what I'm saying, and you got us an apartment. Oh man, you know what I'm saying, and you working and able to maintain some of the bills in the house or a lot of the bills in the house, and she see that, and then she'll be willing.
Show yourself approved.
Exactly.
Show yourself approved.
Praise y'all.
And the reason I brought this up and went on here and dealt with it, because a lot of times people don't always think ahead.
Very true.
They'd be anxious to go ahead and make this move if they're going to make it. I want to prove to you that we can do this, but you haven't put yourself in yet. And a lot of times people have to, unfortunately, be older and have become wiser before they start to look at those things in advance.
Yes, sir.
So, yes.
Hallelujah. If I may.
You may.
Jacob worked 7 years for his wife, and he didn't even get the one that he wanted. Then he worked 7 more.
Yes, he did.
He put up with abuse from her father. Her father tricked him and manipulated him. He didn't quit. He made it to his advantage and came out with even more.
Yep.
Hallelujah.
But you know what? Unfortunately, I don't. Who's gonna be willing to? Because our mental state is not that of that brother. You
Well, I
know,
mean, I'm
the
just
work.
saying that's,
You know, you
that's
can.
an example.
No,
to look to.
and I'm with you.
saying.
I'm
That's all
with you. I'm with you. But you guys who might not work 7 months, let alone 7 years.
Say that.
They get, you know,
Say
even
that.
in these
Say
times.
that. Yes, sir.
You
Say
see
that.
what I'm saying?
Yes,
And then
sir.
to get the wrong thing, hey, I'm done. They ain't working another 7 months, let alone another 7 years.
Say that. Say that.
See, so again, I know I'm not trying to make light of anything, but I'm asking certain things a certain way because you never can tell what scenario a person might find themselves in, because sometimes we just move too fast.
That's true.
We move too fast and we're not ready for the move that we make. We might think we're ready, but we don't necessarily be ready, you know? Yes.
Question from beautiful dark skin. So in today's time, what would look like for a husband to take that year to cheer up his wife?
What would it look like for a man? Are we talking about a working man, somebody who's already got something saved up? We talking about, because you got all kinds of people out here who might have some resources, but if you got like, and not to downgrade or talk bad about anybody, but say if you're a hustler out here and he done got a certain amount of money, he got used to a certain lifestyle, and he took on a wife or whatnot, but he out here hustling. I'm talking about illegal hustling. That's not a good situation in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying? Because sometimes when people are making money, they bring that money in fast, they spending a lot of money. But then they got to keep replenishing that money. And like I said, it depends on that circumstance. So today, I guess it just would depend on the individuals that's actually involved. I personally, I'm glad I'm not in that situation right now. So
They said a working man.
Huh?
They went on a working man.
Read that question to me one more time, please.
Okay, you asked them to be specific.
I know, just read the question.
So in today's time, what would it look like for a working man husband to take that year to cheer up his wife?
I'm gonna ask you a question first to answer that question. Let's see how you see doing business, because this is stopping from going to war or doing business. Are we looking at going to work? That's doing business. How do you see that aspect of
Or
work?
to
You see
work
that?
is doing business.
Okay. So, and that being said, again, like I said, I think a person should have resources already so that they're in a position to handle their affairs. See, because you have to look at it this way. When this was written, I don't think people had necessarily mortgages. They already had their, so they didn't have to worry about the expenses that we have to deal with today. We come from an agricultural background. So we wasn't nobody running over to the Kroger's or wherever every week or something like that. You know, they had the vineyards out there. So, and I'm trying to keep all those things in mind and in place, saying that in today's time, it would be tough. And that's why, you know, I said that I would love to live on the outskirts of the city. We done talked about this, to where we had some acres, some land. I know you loved, as I say she liked to play in the dirt. In other words, my wife loved to grow stuff. Okay, I say playing in the dirt just a way of teasing her, you know, in a good way or whatnot.
I play in
But
there.
yeah,
Hey,
you
that's
know,
good.
during the summer months on occasions, you know, I could be hungry in the house and hate to bother when she had her sanctuary, you know, out the yard, you know, hey, because you know, it'd be times that she could live off of watermelon, you know. I don't, you know, I be, but
Right.
I digress. But I would love to be in a position to where we had a nice piece of land, and it ain't got to be some acres, like I was saying. A good to or something would be plenty. But you know, my eyes are a little bigger than that because I want an area to where if we had family members or something like that, say like if they got old and the place is so I could give them some land on that land or whatnot that's theirs. You see what I'm saying? That way you always have a place of your own. You know, I'm somewhat of a visionary in that regard. It don't necessarily mean it's gonna work out that way, but that's my hope, and to be able to grow things. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Praise Yahweh. Great wisdom, Elder. If I may share,
Absolutely. Go
I
ahead.
think that Deuteronomy 24:5 can be done. And how? Well, it's all about where you're going to lay your priorities. If you see a woman and you like, we're going to get married. If you live with your mother and you're working, let's just say you live with your mom. Then the first thing you want to do is establish your own home. So you go out, you look for you. If you can afford a home, get it. If you can't, look for an apartment. Establish yourself in that apartment. Then think about and think about the time at which you're going to marry her, and save out enough money so you can take care of your rent, your duke, your water if it carries water, and all of the other expenses of a house. And then it's also because you got to cheer her up. So have a little extra money for her. She want to do stuff. You know, she want a nice dress or some nice shoes. She like going out to eat. Because you gotta, the whole point of that is to cheer her up, because it's traumatic. Daughter raised up under you as a father, and she leaves. Even though she may be in love with him, but that's still traumatic because she can't trust it. And then that goes to show too that how we were men. You know what I mean? So it can be done. It's just where we lay our priorities and what we gonna do. But those are the steps. Look for an apartment, start saving up my money so I can take off that year. And once the year is up, that's you know what I'm saying, you know, that's just where it's at. Yep, you just get those things in order. That's what I would suggest.
And that will work, but a person has to be committed to doing that. Person can't be rash.
That's what I said.
No, I'm not saying something that you didn't say. No, listen, I'm agreeing with you. That's what I said in the first place.
Right,
We're on the
right.
same page, bro.
Right, right,
We're on the
right.
exact same page. I assure you, we're on the same
Give
page.
you all that, man. You know I love you.
And I love you, brother. Give me a hug. We're definitely on the same page.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
But what I'm saying is, a person has to be diligent. I'm coming right to you. A person has to be diligent to do that.
Absolutely right.
A person has to be diligent to do that because
Mhm.
I gave a scenario on purpose, saying like somebody they jumping the gun, he moving in with her and all this sort of type of stuff, saying that that's not a good thing to do.
That's right.
That's not a good thing to do. Sometimes I give extreme, because I know we got some extreme people who are not rational.
That is
You
true.
see what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
sir.
I want
Yes,
us to
sir.
be able to think all around. This absolutely can be done. Absolutely. But a person has to prioritize and make that a
That
priority
is true.
in order for it to work.
Yes, sir.
That's just like if somebody, I don't know, they still got layaways or something like that.
Yep.
Say if they want something, you know, say like you want this situation, you got to be putting money down. In other words, putting it away. So it's almost like a layaway. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Putting
right.
it away so that you have something, so that you can get that you want.
Yes.
So I'm agreeing with you. It's a process.
Yes, sir.
You just got to be willing. An individual have to be willing to put those sacrifices away. And most people, before they become married and understand that it's a we, most people, if they're honest, are selfish.
True. That's true.
So when they're used to doing things for themselves and spending on themselves, they have to be diligent and really want this in order to have a stage where they put this away. Because you're doing this for us, meaning the male and that man and that woman. You see what I'm saying? Yes, sir.
Praise Yahweh. Beautiful.
Then I'm
wisdom.
coming right to you.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No,
Praise Yahweh. Beautiful wisdom. And the one thing that's deep is what happens when that year is up. You know, you done left your job, it might not be there. Well, prior to the year being up, I think that individuals should look into being business owners. That should be a catalyst to want to be an entrepreneur, so that you are able to go into a business that's yours. And now you got the flexibility. If you need off on the Sabbath, you ain't got to go tell nobody.
That's a beautiful thing.
You know what I mean? If you want to wear your fringes long, you ain't got to hear them say, take that off. It might get caught up in the machine. You can do what you want in the fulfillment of Yahweh. Because if you're doing this, you know who Yahweh is. Because this is a command from Yahweh.
Absolutely.
Praise
And you
Yahweh.
got to be strong and very courageous.
Yes, sir.
It's easy to be weak. You have something?
Question from Beulah, Israel. Is it against the laws of Yah for a married couple to use contraception, condoms / birth control?
That's a good question.
Well, let me ask you a question. And I'm asking this question because, first of all, I would suggest that, you know, people didn't use those things, this, that, and the other, but I'm getting ready to put a twist on it, like I do. Y'all know me. So this woman has already, say they've already had X amount of children. Yeah. Say they got a bunch of children already. And her health is getting bad, but she's still very fertile or whatnot. She's supposed to be able, if she's able, to bring forth those children. But now, later on, something's changed or whatnot to where she might feel like if she got pregnant, her life might be in danger. Well, I'm not telling anybody to go against the law, but she's already, say if she's got, her quiver is full. Her quiver is full. I don't want to be rash with my mouth, but I would say that they would literally have to be sure, because I can't tell somebody what to do. I can only advise them. And the law is saying, hey, be fruitful and multiply. I don't want to add to that. So I'm not going to say when enough is enough. And I can't say that a person's not trusted in Yah, saying that if they got pregnant again, their health might go downhill or something like that. So let me meditate on that one a little bit more. Matter of fact, I'll write that question down so I can take that home and then get back and answer it a little bit more, most likely next Shabbat day. But at this point, and I don't want to have to go back and retract anything, I would say if they didn't already had children and it's an issue or something, I'm not going to say that a person was wrong if they started using protection, but I'm not going to say that that's necessarily right either. I'm not going to say somebody is wrong. I'm going to say, let me do a little bit more research and meditating and check, because I don't want to just tell somebody something and then have doubts about what the answer was.
Right.
But I do know if they're able to have children, have no children. And I do understand, check this out, that there might be some people who are actually able to have children. They might be young and decide that they don't want to have children. I'm not going to tell them what's good for them, but be fruitful and multiply. Replenish. Say you might have somebody that don't have a seed after them. So that means that name stops. That generation stops. You see? So I do know that we can still live through our children. You see, and then our children have children, and this, that, and then it keeps on going. So, you got any thoughts on that?
I think I do, but I'm not going to, because I haven't, that question was brought out by Elder Ezekiel some years ago about the contraception. If I was to give an answer, to be disrespectful, but you got to have a strong pullout game. And that's not to be disrespectful, and I apologize, y'all. Like for example, in the book of Leviticus, chapter 15, when it talks about the seed being on the woman and the man, and it could have been where he went in, it could have been where he pulled out. And it talked about them both bathing themselves. So that's what I would suggest. I can't, when the scriptures speak, I speak. When it don't speak, I don't speak.
That's where I'm at.
And I feel you. So I don't see where contraceptives were used. However, like you said, you people are kind of going to do what they feel. So I would love to hear the answer once you get it.
I hope I can give a good answer, because again, just like you said, that's the reason I can't be rational about. Because when the scriptures speak, then I can speak. Right. I don't know if maybe I'm missing something. I want to go back over it again and just check for that specifically. But I don't want to say something when the Almighty is not.
Right.
So that's the best do with that. What time? You know what? I'm getting ready to get. I'm gonna go about another 5 minutes. To be God's will, and then we'll go ahead and start to adjourn, because I know that evening is approaching, and generally right about quarter after, so it's starting to get that darkness. Looks like 10 after.
10 after 6.
After 5.
Oh, after 5.
Yeah,
okay.
it's dark.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to stay within protocol. Yes, sir.
The Queen had her hand
I'm
up.
sorry. Go ahead.
It was a continuation of that question. I'll just write it down so that we can address it next week.
Beautiful.
Tell me what it is anyway.
Uriah, Israel, y'all say don't spill seed though. Is that to say just waste it?
Well, he's talking about a situation in the book of scriptures, and the book might say it's talking about a son. It's talking about when a man died and he didn't have a son. Okay, like he died, when he died, didn't have a son. Then the brother should go into the woman and bear seed so that the brother's name can keep living on. But then the person pulled out, in other words, he wanted the pleasure, but he didn't want their responsibility. So he pulled out and seed hit the ground. Now, if he didn't want to do that, there was something about the loose shoe or whatever. And what was he? Spin his face and loose his shoe?
Man with the loose shoe.
So
shall it be done unto that man that will not be brother's house.
So see, and the reason we have to be so explicit with Israel is because, again, if the Almighty is not speaking, we don't want to put something in there that's not supposed to be there. If the Almighty's silent, then who am I to add to it? That His word is perfect. It might be something that I'm missing or that I need to get a clearer understanding on, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know everything. There are things that I'm not going to know. But the things that I know, I can probably speak with in confidence.
Yes,
But if I've got some doubt, I got to let you know, hey, let me get back with you on this one right here. Let me see what I go to it real quick. I just got so much here. Let me see. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. In Jeremiah, let's go to 29. And 11. Jeremiah 29. We talk about peace a lot, but let me go ahead and read this here. Reads, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said Yah. He think thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you an expected end. In other words, to have a long, prosperous life and have peace. So now let's apply this scripture right here. Let's even apply this to marriage. Right? Now let's apply it to marriage. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you. Now imagine if we understand what the Almighty's word is, when He talks about marriage and how He hates putting away and how your houses should be governed in righteousness. And if that's done, then it's going to bring you peace. You see, not unless you yoked with somebody who don't want the same things you do because you didn't have those conversations. But all those things should be in righteousness to give you that expected end of not only having peace, but to keep you away from evil so that you can have a length of days together so that you have someone, just like we read earlier. And how can you be warm with each one? And if you got your fellow, when somebody fall, you got somebody to help you up. You get sick, you got somebody that can nurture you and love you and help heal you, bring you back to yourself. When your spirits are low, you got somebody who's going to comfort you. They're going to be there. They want to ride till the wheels fall off. You see what I'm saying? So when a person don't have that, imagine being ill and you ain't got nobody. Nobody. That's some suffering right there. Not having nobody. Your mom might not be alive. You might be estranged from your father. They both might be gone. Your father might be alive. Your mother might be just whatever. You don't have a bunch of people around you because your energy ain't right or whatever. It could be just a combination of a bunch of different things. We don't want to be in those positions. We want to be in a position so that we're doing right with one another, not dealing treacherously with one another, showing mercy with one another, knowing how to love one another. That don't mean you're not going to have disagreements. You understand? But disagreements don't have to lead to hatred and being, cast out or something. Me and my brother here, we disagreed on enough things. I ain't got nothing but love for you. When I saw you, tears rolled out of my eyes, you know that. But the bottom line is people need to put themselves in a position to where they want to be right. Period. Very true. They have to put themselves in a position where they want to be the best version of themselves. And sometimes we feel like I'm not being me if I'm not being myself. But what if that you is not the best version of you? What if that you is like sometimes we can be a repellent for other people. Yes. Because believe it or not, we have certain that come off of us. We have certain energies. And if our energy is right, it's a repellent. But then if we change our demeanor slightly, or this, or make some adjustments, then now all of a sudden that repellent then turns into something that attracts. You see? So that being said, for I know the thoughts that I think of you. The Almighty only wants good things for us. He really only wants good things for us. We have to realize that we should only want good things for ourselves. It's not a half a loaf better than no loaf at all.
Teach. Yes, sir.
So having a half a loaf can be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just one more scripture, y'all, then I'm gonna wrap it up. Just one more. Just one more. So many here, I don't know where to choose. Let me see what this here is. Bear with me 1 second. I just wrote down some scripture that I'm familiar with. Didn't put anything beside them because I have a way of doing things, and I'm jumping the gun on myself here a little bit. That's all right. I literally had about 5 pages that I done. I ain't halfway through the first one. I'm not halfway through the first one. 21:19. No, I ain't gonna end on that one because I would need to add to that right there. I ain't gonna go with that one. Whatever this is, I'm going with it. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. Book of Jeremiah. When we get to Jeremiah, let's go to the 29th chapter. Jeremiah 29. Oh, this is good to hear, though. Y'all know the topic, so I know if I ask either one of y'all where I'm going, y'all gonna tell me exactly where I'm going. So I pieced this thing together. I pieced it together. Where am I going? Baby girl, where am I going? Where am I starting? In the book of Jeremiah, chapter. Where am I going? Huh? I'm gonna start at 4. I'm gonna start at 4. You see, that's what I'm saying, y'all. Hey, when you put out a certain energy, you follow the energy. Follow the energy. Starting at verse 4, it starts to read, "Thus saith Yah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished." I'm going to go ahead and read the 7th verse. In addition to that, "And seek peace." We talked about this earlier. "And seek peace of the city, whether I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto Yah for it." Pray for that peace. "For in the peace thereof shall ye find peace." This right here says it all. Ideally, if we were in any working person that has a goal, it might take a little longer for some others, but we all have the ability, for the most part, to be able to save, and especially we put our mind to it when we're younger, and go out and buy a plot of land. You don't even have to build a so-called traditional big house or something, but to put something there that's going to suit your needs. I'm one who I'll be talking about big spots and elaborate more space so you can do everything. You never got to leave the house, you know, if you want to. I got a mind like that, but that's not necessarily necessary. You see what I'm saying? We all have the ability, if we have the means of making money or whatnot, to be able to save and even learn how to build some things ourselves. Or have somebody help us. Of course, it would require a wage. And to take wives, but notice here in verse 6, where it says, take wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives to your sons. In other words, back then, who was doing the choosing? Times have changed, but I still believe that the parents should have a great influence, especially when you have younger children. I ain't talking about if your mom is in her 90s or something, and the father's he's still alive, maybe old or whatnot. But they should have some input. If they're in your life and everything, they should have some input because we can't discard their wisdom. You might have somebody say, "Well, baby, that person ain't right. That person ain't right." You might not know this. Before I married this woman here, I took her to Miriam because my mother had already passed. Elder Miriam said, when my mother passed, she said, "I'm your mother now." You know, and it wasn't too much longer. Unfortunately, she passed. I shouldn't even say unfortunately because I don't know what the Almighty, what his will was going to be his will. But she passed. But before that, I had my wife get herself together, and I took her to Elder Mary, and then I made myself disappear because I wanted her approval. You see. So I do believe that wisdom is there. And I told her about the girl that I was dating before. I said I had to get rid of her, and she get rid of that woman. Because I told her about it, you know. But baby girl here. Took it in. My wife didn't. My wife now, she didn't know. I don't think she knew that I was getting ready to make myself disappear for a little while. Came back. I got that nod. So I'm with that. Now I know everybody might not agree with some of the things that I said. It looked like the consensus is that most people are feeling some of the same way, and they appreciate that. And I appreciate those that spent their time here with us here at the House of Yehuda. Again, I ask that we definitely keep Moray Yoel and his family in our deepest prayers, you know, and keep nothing but well wishes and consider, please. Even Moray Michael is not, and he's looking like $1 million right about now, you know, but we all need prayer. We all do. We all do. So let's keep one another in prayer. Are there any final questions or comments? We got anything about where the internet? Any questions? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
First of all, wonderful job. I enjoyed this lesson.
Praise God.
And I'm gonna tell you, and I also enjoy the wisdom of the sisters who, when dealing with abuse, there are many different versions of abuse. There's the physical and there's the verbal. That's absolutely right. And the reason that I didn't mention women beat is because the focus was on the man. The woman didn't come from, we didn't come from the woman. And even though we come through her matrix, everything was established and created by the man. And what I mean by that is that look at our wives as though it is us. And the sad thing about it is a lot of us abuse ourselves. But we should look at our wives as though they are ourselves. Watch how we talk to them. Watch how we deal with them. You know, watch all that. And just use wisdom. Just use wisdom. And praise Yahweh. This was a great class.
Hallelujah. And they're definitely an extension of us. That's the reason I have to say, even our children are an extension of us. So that's why we don't just want them with anybody.
That's right.
You know, somebody come up blowing their horn waiting on my daughter to come out. Oh, no.
That's right. That's right.
No, you better bring yourself up to this door. Matter of fact, before then, I should have knew who you were a long time ago.
That's true.
Well, don't be trying to blow your horn and you ain't never seen my face, it got to be a reason why you blowing the horn and not coming to the door. You know?
Uriah Israel says, beautiful blessing, praise Yahweh, shalom, family. It says, sending prayers to all the sick and shut in, hallelujah, praying
Hallelujah.
for all of Israel. May the mighty God continue to guide, bless, and protect us all through these good and bad times.
Hallelujah. We all need prayer. We really do. We need to keep one another in prayer. Praise the mighty God. Let's go ahead and stand so we can adjourn. Heavenly Father, Yah, our strength, our Elohim, our power, we give thanks and praises unto you and unto your holy name for all that you do for us, for your tender mercies and your loving kindness. Thank you, Yah, for allowing us the breath of life. We've sinned against you, Yah, and you only have we sinned against and dealt with you treacherously. Yah, we love the fact that you give us an opportunity to get our act together so that we might be right in thy sight. We pray, Heavenly Father, Yah, for your continued mercy upon us. And we pray that you may continue to bless those that need a healing. Bless us all, Yah, and keep us safe and well, free from any other harm or captivity. For Heavenly Father, Yah, we are your servants. Hear us in our petition. All praises be unto you and to your holy name, the creator of heaven and earth, the universe, the seas, and all that therein is. All praises to Yah, our strength, our power. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty Yah.
Praise the mighty
Yahweh
Yah.
is righteous,
Yahweh is
and
righteous.
Yahweh is merciful.
Yahweh is merciful.
Praise his holy name.
Praise his holy.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
You right there, one question. You say that was a two-part question?